Welcome to Sixways Stadium in Worcester for this European IFAF Women's Championship opener for 2023. The Great Britain Lionesses taking on Team Sweden. I'm Matt Walker and you are very, very welcome joining me in the commentary booth. I'm thrilled to have alongside me Mr. Andrew Morgan. Afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon, great to be here. What a day. The GB team are just being introduced on the field now. And it's great to be here. It's going to be quite a game to watch.
It is. We managed to touch base with both coaches beforehand, and obviously, Andrew, slightly different format to what we saw last time the European Championship was played, and that was in Leeds in 2019. Rather than being over one weekend, we've now got this elongated format.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, Great Britain are playing Sweden today. They've got Germany coming up in May, and now it's a very kind of, the process is spread out now over the countries as opposed to bringing it all together in one venue over a weekend.
Indeed. So I mentioned about seeing the coaches early doors. Let's have a listen to what head coach of the Great Britain Lionesses had to say. Delighted to say we're joined by Great Britain Women's head coach Chris Stone. Thanks for being with us today, Chris.
Awesome to be here. It's been a long time since Finland, so ready to get back out there.
Yeah, we'll talk about Finland in a little bit, but obviously the last time we saw the GB women's team in action in this country was the 2019 European Champs up in Leeds. Thinking about that Leeds performance and also going into the Worlds, how does this particular squad compare to what we saw last time you were competing on our shores?
It's definitely a different squad. There's definitely going to be names you still recognize, but you've seen the progression of different people like Siobhan Walker, someone I think you just sort of saw scratching the surface in Europe. People just started to see her name. She exploded onto the scene in Finland, and now you're going to see her continue to take that role, which is great because we already have players like Ruth Matta as well that everyone kind of knows about. So being able to kind of balance it out, it's kind of too many riches. It's a great thing to be as an offensive coordinator as well as a coach.
And one of the biggest changes when you talk about an offense and you talk about names is who you've got under center.
Yeah, we've moved Sydney over to linebacker. It just goes to show how great Sydney is as a player, that not only is she a phenomenal quarterback, but she's also possibly the best linebacker in the country. So stepping in is Angelina Fisher. There's going to be people out there that haven't heard of her and maybe aren't aware, but they should be. She led the London Warriors to a national championship last year. And, I remember the first time I saw Angelina, she was 17, almost 2 years ago. And I knew then she was going to be special. So the reality is people might not be aware, but there was always a long-term plan that we were going to make this transition, and now it's just the right time to do it.
So thinking back to Leeds, a good outing in Leeds at the last European Championships, but then in the Worlds, obviously you've come out with that silver medal, ranked second in the world now behind the USA. How do you find this tournament, the European Championships, in terms of the format? Obviously before in Leeds it was all over one weekend, now it's a little bit different. Talk us through your thoughts on that.
I actually kind of appreciate this format. It's one of those things with the tournament, it's great because you get to get away for like 10 days and it's 100% focused on football. And it's the closest we kind of that professional experience of living it day in, day out. But the one thing I at least enjoy about this is when you do that tournament format, you're only getting together for competitions every 2 years, so sometimes it's a bit difficult of how do you keep that momentum going. We kind of get out of touch with each other, whereas this format of playing 4 games over 2 years just gives us an opportunity to have more touch points with the players and really kind of keep that momentum going, whereas when it's every 2 years between competitions, you almost kind of stop and start and getting it back up, whereas hopefully we're just going to keep rolling through what we did in Finland.
So you turn your attention to today then, this first fixture of this latest European Championship. Sweden, the opponents. What do your scouting reports say about Sweden?
One of the things for us as a team we've talked about multiple times, between myself with the offense and then Coach Wayne Hill with the defense, it's about us. The last time we played Sweden on home soil, it was a loss. So there's going to be, a bit of a revenge factor there. But for us, the thing that we've kept echoing to our players is if we go out, line up, execute, do the things we're supposed to do, we really don't need to emphasize too much on what other people are doing. It's not to say we haven't done our due diligence, but we really just try to focus on ourselves.
A real healthy mix this time out as well of veteran players with experience and youngsters as well in the side. What can we expect to see today from this Great Britain women's team?
Like I said, you're going to see some of the names that you recognize, but you're also going to see a lot of people that got their first steps in Finland, but there are also going to be some exciting people you've not seen yet. So, there's people, I'm speaking specifically from an offensive side of the ball. You got people like Emily Irvine, who's been playing at Birmingham University. She came out with us to Worlds. Expect her to have a larger role. Found some people like Catherine Stanley, who, how many reps she necessarily gets today, because it's a very competitive side on the offense. She's another kind of athlete that we're looking forward to. And there's a bunch of other names, even I look on the defensive side. I think one of the best stories, and we passed some notes along to you from Phoebe, you got people like Chloe Sutherland, and, for Chloe, we found her at a U19 development day about 16 months ago. She literally just started playing at the University of Liverpool, and I saw her and I was just really impressed when we brought her along. So you think in a 16-month window, she's gone from having not played the sport to today she's going to be making her first start on multiple special teams. And I think that's really one of the points of emphasis of this program is not just what we're doing on the field, but how that is going to impact, the sport as a whole and trying to get more people in there. So it's really good to see the way the veterans have brought on those younger players. And I think throughout the day in smaller capacities across special teams and in specific roles, you're going to see some names that you haven't seen before, but you might as well get used to them because you're going to hear about them for a while.
So echoing that then, the future is bright for GB Women's American Football, and also the day is bright here in Worcester. We wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for your time today, Coach.
Thanks, appreciate it, and hopefully we'll put on a show for everybody at home.
Great to hear from Coach Stone there before the game. We'll go straight down to the field for the coin toss. So it doesn't look like our ref mic is operating as we'd expect today, but obviously nice ceremonial piece here with Pete Ackley there from BAFA overseeing proceedings. What do you expect to see here, Andrew, as we think about this one going underway?
I think what this game is going to boil down to is which team can establish their run game the best. Both teams, looking at the World Championships last summer, wanted to run the ball. They're very similar in terms of what they want to do in terms of running gap scheme, outside zone, jet sweeps, and it's going to be about which offensive line can really set the tone and then develop the pass game off of it.
We have an interview in the bag with Coach Jonsson of Sweden, and she was telling us that she's only been in the role for 3 weeks, and therefore this is very much a trial and error situation for her, see what works. And it looks like Sweden won the toss and elected to defer. So therefore, Great Britain, I think, if I've read those signals correctly, will be receiving the opening kickoff.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting when you think about the logistics. We talk about the new format of the European Championships, getting this team over. They came in last night, so they came in Friday night. They've had a little bit of time this morning, but it's going to be interesting to see how they acclimate and get together on the field as we start now.
So here we go then, out come Sweden. And they will be lining up to kick things off. And back to return for the Lionesses is that very familiar number 21, Ruth Matter. Such a dangerous player with the ball in her hands, Andrew.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's flown in from Boston for the weekend. She's going back out there on Monday. She is the linchpin of this side. It's the engine that's going to drive the offensive production for Great Britain. So it's going to be great to see her try and get the ball in hand to start with.
And alongside her, the ever-present figure of Siobhan Walker, kind of a Debo Samuel type role, Chris Stone was telling me early doors, where they just want to try and get the ball in her hands. Yeah,
absolutely. You're going to see her lining up in the slot. She's going to be in the backfield in 1 and 2 back sets. It's going to be about getting those touches to the playmakers and the dynamic players that Great Britain have got on offense.
So just waiting for the clock to tick over to our kickoff time of 3 o'clock here in Worcester, Sixways Stadium. We've got a great vantage point here. The referee blows his whistle, and a good crowd in on that far side as well, Andrew.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've packed that far sideline out, really to kind of funnel the noise, get as much of the energy that they can, and also being behind the Swedish team, give them a few comments.
So the European Championship presented by IFAF is underway, and Walker takes the kick and then immediately reverses to Matter, who's got a little bit of space. She's out to midfield. She's past the 50, down to the 45, and she's wrestled to the ground, and the Lionesses will have outstanding field position for their first possession. It'll be 1st and 10 on the Sweden 42.
You've got to love it there from special teams coordinator Josh Gaff. He loves to run the reverse, and no matter how many times you see it done, there's always going to be players getting pulled across with that reverse player. Ruth did a great job holding that ball and just hiding it behind her hip, and then as soon as she saw the space, turned upfield.
So we will see the Great Britain offense for the first time with that new quarterback, Angelina Fisher, number 12. Coach Stone really excited about what she can bring to this program. And if you have watched any GB Lionesses football previously, you will know that it's a different quarterback, and immediately Fisher takes the ball off to her right-hand side. Looks like a designed keeper. There was an option to hand that ball to Matter, but Fisher decided to keep it herself and picks up maybe 5.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a broken play there, but Fisher got the chance to get to the edge, and I don't think the head coach and the coach is going to be too happy with their leading a shoulder into the players, especially on that first play of the game, but managed to get 3-4 yards, get the chains moving. Sorry, get the yardage moving.
Bound to be some nerves, Andrew. First start at quarterback, national team, home game, European Championships, some big shoes to fill as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So here we go then, 2nd and 7 it's going to be, and this time Walker does get the ball on a little jet sweep, and she looks for some room into the inside and then bounces outside for a pickup of what is going to be a first down, looking at where the officials spot that one. So 2 plays, 1 broken, 1 effective on a jet sweep, and the chains are moving.
Yeah, and it's all about stretching this defense horizontally. They're going to try and do that with the jet sweep in the outside zone. And looking at the tempo here, I'm watching the coaches down on the sideline holding up the cards frantically, trying to get that play in quickly. They want to try and speed it up so that the Swedes are hurried.
You can't see those cards from the point on the screen, but talk to us a little bit about what those cards do, because obviously 3 cards there, try and be a bit of deception. From your coaching perspective, how do those cards work?
So what they're going to do, this is going to link up to something that potentially is on the QB's wristband and also the players as well. So they have a little look, they see the numbers and the colour, they get it, and then they go with the play. So
nothing doing on first down, a loss of 3, Mata with their handoff on that one, and she goes backwards. So after 2 plays where the Great Britain offence has managed to make some headway, the Swedish defensive line solidifies and puts the Lionesses into a long 2nd and 13. Nothing through the air, yeah? Expected this, establish the ground game first?
I think so, especially with that new quarterback. You're going to be looking at a heavy run to pass.
And that looked a little bit like it's going to be a false start, illegal procedure. Again, just ironing out these creases early on.
Yeah, and you're going to see that pressure. You've got the home crowd, you've got all of that excitement, you've got the new quarterback. They've been moving the ball in these first few plays quite effectively, but I still think there are a few jitters and a few of those cobwebs that need to come out a little bit.
So after the penalty then, the loss on first down, Mata gets stopped for a 3-yard loss, and then tack on a further 5 back, and all of a sudden it brings up 2nd and nearly 20.
Yeah, we're in tricky territory here now because it could be 4-down territory with the kicking game, but we need to make some chunks here on offense.
So spread formation for Fisher then, 2 receivers either side, Mata alongside her on her right, and she looks to drop to pass, and there's good pressure up the middle. She dumps the ball off and finds her receiver, and that receiver is number 17 for the Lionesses.
Shea Okalola, sorry.
Seem to be under a lot of pressure quite quickly there, Fisher, right up the middle.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to see a lot from Sweden. They're going to have those 2 inside linebackers. They sent them both on that play, and although Ruth Mata was able to pick one of them up, behind of that, they're playing man coverage, and it's going to be really hard for her to get that ball off in time. So on the crossing route, she managed to get the ball caught, but because there was a trail from the defender, no yards were made after the catch.
So Okalola there lined up in the slot, but officially on the depth chart, starting tight end for the Lionesses. And now we are struggling. 3rd and 15 upcoming then. And on 3rd and 15, play halts. It's a delay of game penalty against the Great Britain outfit.
5-yard penalty.
Yeah, so now you can see how Great Britain being pushed back. Tough 3rd down yardage now. We're looking at 3rd and about 20, 21. So are they going to try and make this yardage or try and hedge their bets, punt it, and play the field position game?
So 3rd down, going to the air. Fisher looks up top. She's got a receiver, but puts it just over Walker's shoulder. And that's a good ball, positioning-wise. It wasn't one that's going to be intercepted. And Walker tried to make the adjustment, but just couldn't reel that one in.
I mean, this says everything about how Great Britain are approaching the game. Here's me saying, well, it's 3rd and 20. Maybe we run the ball and punt it. No, Coach Stone, he dials up a fade. Really nicely placed ball over the top, just a little bit in front of number 27, Siobhan Walker there. Could have been caught, could have been a touchdown, but love how aggressive the offense are looking early on.
So then, on to punt is Sydney Green. Sydney Green, punter and extraordinary linebacker, as well as not being too shabby at quarterback if you've watched any of Great Britain women's football over the last couple of years. Little pooch punt, and it bounces inside the 10, and it's fielded just inside the goal line, and it's going to be first down on about the 1-inch line for Sweden going out.
That is amazing. From our vantage point, I wondered if she just put her feet down on the goal line to take it back to the 20. But no, Coach Hill's going to be licking his lips at this kind of field position now. Going to be able to maybe put a little pressure on Sweden. They've got 98 yards to go.
Smart play there by Emily Irvin, who fields that ball inside the 2, as you mentioned. Right, okay then, Coach. First series, draft, grade it.
I would say C+. I think, having watched some of the tape from the Worlds, Sweden are playing a very similar defense to what they did for their 3 games. So they're going to go to the board and really confirm what they've seen, and then they'll be able to put their plans in place for the next drive.
So already under pressure then. Motion comes down, throws to the flats, and it's over the head of the intended receiver. Unfortunately, we are not furnished with a Sweden roster at this point. We are going to get one of those as soon as we possibly can. But number 5 there, who came out looking for that pass in the flat, just to try and, like you say, spread things out. But that one, unfortunately, just rainbowed over the top.
Yeah, you can see they're just trying to get ball in hand, try and get a play. But, I mean, if that pass was caught, again, it was very, very close to the goal line. Could have been fumbled, could have been tackled in the end zone for a safety.
With it rainbowing up like that, could have been picked off. So here we go then, 2nd and 10 from the 2. Same formation, same motion, same player in motion, trying the same play, and this one again looks like a punt, and it's in and out of the hands of that number 5, and it looked like exactly the same play, Andrew.
So it was interesting, they've built that player in motion to try and get the ball out to her in the flats, but what they did a better job of on that play was actually running the pick, running the misdirection in front of it to try and get the linebackers confused and jumbled up. Unfortunately, she didn't catch it, but if she was able to turn up field there could have been a fair few yards to help move the sticks for Sweden.
So 2 sticky plays, unfortunately. Very nervy. Again, we mentioned about the nerves of Angelina Fischer under centre. But also, there's bound to be nerves there as well for the Swedish outfit. So 3rd down. 3rd and 10. Going to the air again. 3 plays, 3 passes, and 3 attempts to that same receiver, and that receiver is Greta Munters, and unfortunately she can't reel in any of those attempts, and now we're in a sticky situation, punting from the back of your own end zone. Yeah,
it's tough whenever you're calling an offense and you're starting from inside of your own 5-yard line. You want to be able to try and run the ball and get a few chunk yards, but sometimes it's actually easier to pass the ball because you know that you're going to get some favourable matchups. On that 2nd down, they had the play that was just dropped. On the 3rd down, unfortunately, the receiver wasn't open there, but now you can see you've got the punter, they've got their feet pretty much on the back of the end zone there. It's going to be a much shorter punt, it's going to be a lot of pressure on this. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. They weren't able to get the timing in terms of getting the distance of the snap. The punter's hurried it. It's gone straight up in the air, come down with snow on it. And now that ball is being spotted on the 18-yard line for Great Britain. Great way of flipping the field position there between those 2 series.
So here we go then. Coach Stone must be salivating. 2nd series. Inside the 20 to start this. Fischer looks to hand off and does hand off on a little jet sweep, and Walker's there untouched, 17 yards, opening score of the afternoon, touchdown Great Britain.
Yeah, we talked about how we need to be able to get the ball into the playmakers' hands. Siobhan Walker is always going to be one of those. They ran the jet sweep on the left hash round to the right-hand side, so that means you've got nearly 30 yards of space. They did a great job blocking it and then being able to seal the corner, so great job by the receivers and that right-hand side of the offensive line, and it was a walk-in score. Even my granddad would probably been able to walk in for that one.
So when you graded the first drive a C+, a 1-play 17-yard drive has got to be an A+, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think they've been able to really turn that around, and American football is all about momentum. Sweden pinned back, 3 good downs of defense by Great Britain. The punt didn't go where they wanted, and straight away they've been able to put that into points.
And the kick is up, and it is good to tag on the extras. So the Great Britain Lionesses find themselves 7-0 ahead midway through this first period from Sixways Stadium in Worcester. Kick there, Samantha Reed adding the extras on, and Reed will get things underway once again.
Yeah, it's interesting, just as we're waiting for the kickoff here, we talk about rivalries in American football. Sweden and Great Britain, since the the start of the Great Britain women's programme, they've played each other 5 times now, whether it's in Euros, in Worlds, in friendlies. So there is a lot of rivalry that really rests on this fixture in terms of how often they've played each other recently.
And the last time out on home soil up at the John Charles Stadium for Sport up in Leeds, Sweden were victorious over this Lionesses team. So GB on the board first. Kick is up and it is away. Be fielded at the 15-yard line where it's bobbled, but also then picked up by Hedstrom. And Hedstrom makes her way to the 20. And she's upended. Good tackle there by number 54, Corey Stevenson.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting now having a look at Sweden. They've got a little bit more space now in terms of field position. They came out with 3 passes in that first drive. Are they going to try and establish their run game and do some of the things that they know they can do a lot better?
So we have an influx of new talent on that GB side, but there are some ever-presents there. Sydney Green, you can see number 11 there, playing inside. Outside backer, actually. Phoebe Schechter at the back in a safety position, and that ball out again. Same play that they tried on 2 occasions in the previous drive, and it is complete. Munters with the reception.
So when we're talking about offense, sometimes an offensive coordinator is going to want to set something up. So 3 times they've put that motioning wide receiver into the flat. I wonder if they're now trying to set that up, maybe try and get somebody behind it and maybe pop a fade over the top. But we do have a flag on the play, so we'll have a look and see what that is.
Legal formation, Sweden. That penalty is declined. Second out.
So yeah, illegal formation because there was a loss on the play. Coach Stone elects almost for a loss of down and a loss of a couple of yards. So 2nd and 12 upcoming. GB showing blitz, coming around the edge. The quarterback does take off this time. And Molly Ewald is that Swedish quarterback who ends up running for her life a little bit, but does pick up a couple of yards.
Yeah, you talked about the stalwarts on that Great Britain defence. You've got number 48, Bo Stewart, currently a university head coach up in Leeds, who's been there since day one. You've got the First Lady of American Football, Phoebe Schechter, playing at safety as well. And whenever you see the ball, Phoebe is probably going to be flying in at some point to make that tackle.
3rd down upcoming then, 3rd and a long 9. And obviously we want to see a competitive outing today from both teams, but obviously from Coach Stone's perspective, as the play is blown dead before it even gets a chance to start again. Here comes our referee.
Delay of game. Number 10 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Yeah, it's been a little bit jittery by the Swedish offence to start with. And we talked about how the head coach for Sweden's come in maybe 2-3 weeks on the job. You can see that there's just not that cohesion, that smoothness that you might have expected from the team.
Coach Johnson also told me pre-game that they struggled a little bit with their flights, didn't arrive till around about 10:30 last night. Some confusion with some flights as well. Didn't necessarily have the best journey. That ball is completed again by Evold. Same receiver again. Munter has been targeted now 5 plays in succession. And it will bring up 4th down and will force the Swedes to punt that ball away. And that's hopefully, for the Swedish perspective, this one will go a little further laterally than it will vertically.
Yeah, you got Claire Davis, number 7, back there to punt. Been around the Great Britain team through all of the iterations through the Worlds and the European Championships. I reckon she's looking forward to trying to get this and make some yards off the punt return.
Here we go then. Good snap. Better punt. Nice and high again. A little bit more distance this time, and it takes a Sweden roll out past the 40. It'll come to rest at the 42, where Great Britain will take over for their 3rd possession.
Yeah, smart move by Ollie there, trying to get everybody away from the ball. Don't want to have any kind of mishaps with the player touching it and Sweden being able to recover it. So smart play there, making sure Great Britain get the ball back on offence.
So, Angelina Fisher then, back under centre again. 2 drives down, one resulting in 6 points. One where she found her footing a little bit and also showed us that she has got an arm there to try and hit that fade when she attempted that to Siobhan Walker on third down on that first possession. Let's see what she can bring third time out. Walker in motion once again, and Walker gets the ball but then drops it, and that's on the floor, and that's going to be recovered by the Swedes.
That's interesting, because on that jet sweep, because it's a pop pass, it's not actually going to be a fumble. It's going to be interesting because we can see the Great Britain coaches. They're saying we've popped it. It's a forward pass, so hopefully they can clarify that.
Let's have a look at the replay there. I think that's a really good spot from you. This is a forward, so close to being a pass, but I think you're right. It is a forward pass and therefore should be incomplete, and I think what they're discussing in the middle of the field. You'll just see when we come back to the live shot.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's on the short side of the field. It was a little bit rushed in terms of player in motion, ball snapped, ball popped. It did look a little bit like a handoff, and that's what they're trying to figure out.
So let's hear from our referee as the officials have made their decision. Well, in fact, we're not going to hear. I think they're going to maintain the original call on the field, which was a fumble, because the offense of Sweden remain.
Offense still on the field.
Let's just have a look. I thought you've got the Sweden offense on the field. Now you've got the British defense going back. But yeah, an interesting one there.
Yep, looks like they've kept with the fumble, they've kept with the turnover, so Sweden have been able to pick the ball up. They're on their own 47-yard line.
Really, really impressive, though, obviously, that the Great British coaches were straight on that, identifying that that was potentially a forward pass and therefore an incomplete pass rather than a fumble. But the all-important man in the white hat didn't agree. So
yeah,
it remains a fumble, turnover, and Sweden ball. Yeah,
like I said, ball's on the left hash, you've got the left-hand slot receiver running that motion, and just because of the tightened space, I think it just got a little bit too jumbled up, and they weren't able to get that handoff the way they wanted to.
So here we go then. First down, Sweden, close to midfield. Oh, is that going to be... It looked like number 58 for Great Britain did jump. Now, whether she crossed the neutral zone or not remains to be seen, but that's Libby Davarin. But it's got down as a false start against the Swedes.
Yeah, so you can see Sweden have come away from that four-wide set. They came in with a wing. They came in with their running back. So it looks like they might be trying to condense it down, try and run the ball, run the gap running stuff that they've shown that they can run quite effectively.
So unfortunately at the moment, for Coach Jönsson's outfit, finding themselves going backwards more often than going forwards, putting themselves in passing position, but this time it is an outside handoff. Biding their time is the runner.
Yeah, so now they're going back to what they know. They ran that counter, they had a bunch on the trip side, they ran behind the trips, you had the two pulling guards who were able to get round and get north on the play, and they've been able to get back to that original line to gain.
Anna Hedstrom with the carry. 2nd and 11 upcoming. So Great Britain currently ranked number 2 in the world after that World Championship silver medal performance out in Finland last year. Incredible performance by the team out there to come away with that silver medal. Looking to build on that now. And play is stopped immediately. It's probably a good job it was stopped, because straight away coming through there was Lucy Peaty, number 36, who would have blown that up for a loss. Another false start, illegal procedure. Unfortunately, referees, Mike, not online with us at the moment.
Yeah, again, we're seeing some procedural issues there with the Swedes. You've got number 7 for Sweden trying to check herself onto the line, and there were some issues there, and then we've got a false start. They just don't seem to have got that tempo and rhythm that they want to have in this game.
2nd and 16 then upcoming for Ewald and the Swedes. Bunch formation. In fact, it's not Ewald, it's number 46, and there is Peaty straight through. We mentioned her in the dress rehearsal on the play that was blown dead for the penalty, and she recreates exactly what she was going to do and blows up Sarah Lindner in the backfield for a big loss.
That's it. We've got Sarah Lindner on the team sheet down as a wide receiver linebacker, so you can see they're trying to go to a much more QB heavy kind of look now. They were trying to run that QB sweep to the trip side with all the blockers, and just a great job shooting the gap and being able to make that tackle.
Third in a bus ride now then for the Swedes. It may be closer to get back home than it is to get a first down. Let's see what Coach Jönsson and the Swedish offense can come up with. That same bunch formation we just saw. And it's the same play again. And they're looking to try and get outside. And there is a little bit of a seam, but it is closed very, very quickly. And that's closed quickly by Sydney Green, linebacker, number 11 for the Lionesses.
That's it, you got a great job there by Bo Stewart being able to set the edge, take on the blocker. That means the linebackers can scrape over, the safeties can come downhill on the play, and whilst that player's not going to get the tick for the tackle on the stat sheet, she's the reason those linebackers were able to make that play for not much gain.
Holly Davis back to return again for the Lionesses. It's another better punt this time. And Davis is she gonna field it? She is inside her own 30 at the 24, and she steps 3 players. She's out close to midfield, past midfield, to the 40, to the 30. She outruns somebody at the 20. She's down to the 15, stumbles and is tripped up inside the 5 at the 4-yard line.
Some great downfield blocking there. You got number 42, Bethany Pilkington, really setting it there. You got number 70, Yasmin Kazau, who also is about 20-30 yards downfield setting that block, and she's just done a great job reading off those blocks as she hit the second level.
I'm going to show my age now, but this reminded me a bit of the Steve Young run for the 49ers against the Vikings way back, when made some great efforts, some lovely missed blocks, missed tackles, and she just outspeeds that defender there, and then just kind of loses a little bit of gas inside the 10, stumbles and is brought down. It's a good touchdown saving tackle there by Selma Linden for Sweden. But is it just delaying the inevitable, Andrew?
Well, yes, we're now on the 4-yard line. Great Britain line up in a nub trips look, looking to see how they attack this.
Here we go then, Fisher looking to roll and then keep it herself, and she tucks it, acres of space in the middle. She gets absolutely flattened in the end zone, but not before she puts another 6 on the board for the Lionesses.
Great job there. I think that was as a design QB run. It didn't look like the receivers were trying to get open or get past their defenders too much there. Just rolls out to the right. She's able to kind of have a look and see where the gap is. Number 79 does a great job kicking out that end. So you've got Tara Minto, who's absolutely dominated her defender, kicked out the defensive end and given the gap, and she's just taken that and trucked it through for a touchdown.
I tell you what, Fisher did really well there. I think you're right, it was a design QB run, but as she dropped back, she put the ball in almost like a passing position just to try and lock the eyes of the cornerbacks, the linebackers, to make her think that she was going to maybe pass it, and then tucked it, found the gap and went in for 6. As Samantha Reed tacks on the extra point, and we've now got a 14-0. Great Britain line advantage over the Swedes.
That's it. Great Britain over these last 2 drives now have done a great job of capitalising on the errors, the procedural points that Sweden haven't been able to get quite right, and every time they've gotten the ball inside that 20-yard line, they've been able to take it away and score some points. So it's a really clinical job by Great Britain at the moment, being able to put the pressure on the Swedes.
So still in the first quarter here. I must say, we mentioned about the crowd in that smaller stadium here at Sixways, but it really is adding a decent atmosphere.
Well, that's it. It condenses everything down. It's going to put the pressure on the Swedes on their own sideline as well, in terms of things aren't going quite as well as they want it to, but they're going to hear that from the crowd. That might bring their morale down a little bit, and Great Britain are capitalising on it perfectly.
And from a commentator perspective, rather than being on the gantry under that small stand as we have been in previous years, we're in a much more comfortable position in the main stand. Anyway, play goes on. Ball fielded at the 25-yard line. And the runner manages to evade one tackle and stay on her feet, and she's bouncing off Lionesses, but she is finally corralled at the 30. Good run back, patient run back by Selma Linden there.
Yeah, you had number 2 Emily Irvine flying around there. She was able to make that first contact with the returner, and while she didn't make the tackle, it gave all the other kickoff team time to come down, converge, try and engulf her, make sure that she wasn't going to make any more yards on the play.
So the Swedes in desperate situation now to get things going. Not yet picked up a first down. Only have roughly as a blitz from Green off the right-hand edge, and that ball is thrown away in a little panic intended for Greta Munters.
Yeah, so we've got the starting quarterback, Molly Ewald, back in. So they look like they're going to be running the ball with one quarterback potentially, passing the ball with a different quarterback. So they seem they've got a 2-quarterback offense that they want to run.
But at the moment, that pressure coming from the GB defensive line and linebacker units not allowing the offense of the Swedes to really establish any rhythm, to get settled, or to put anything together. 2nd and 10. Ewald brings slot receiver in motion, rolls out to her right and flunks the ball over, once again intended for Lindner, but over the head of the intended receiver.
And that's it. It's really tough for Sweden now to get any real kind of momentum. The pressure's coming from the Great Britain defensive line, and when we've got a stoppage in play, Matt, I've got a little fun fact to you from the Great Britain ladies defensive line that you're going to love.
Right, I am now just I'm on tenterhooks. I might not be able to commentate anymore until I find this fun fact, but I'm going to have to wait because it's 3rd down and long. Ewald still at quarterback. 2 receivers either side. Slot receiver on Ewald's left comes in motion once again. Schechter shadows her. She rolls out, and this time she's going to be in trouble, and she's taken down. And that's Pilkington with the sack. Bethany Pilkington, big loss. And the Lionesses are going to get fantastic field position once again.
It's tough. They seem to be running the same play with the slot coming in motion, 2 verticals by the other 2 receivers. And if that first option isn't there, QB doesn't look like she has many other choices in terms of who she's trying to find. And she's standing there in the pocket. It's taking too long. And that way, Beth was able to come in for the sack.
So 4th down then, punt is up. Best punt of the afternoon, really. It's hanging. And that's a live football. That is a live ball because Davis ends up muffing that punt. But she does manage to fall on her own error. Now, that flag, is that going to be catch interference?
It could potentially be, because number 42 for Sweden, Sophie Bolter, she was down there, she had waited and respected the fair catch, so it's whether she'd given her a chance to catch it, and because of the fumble off it, it could be an easy flag for Great Britain.
Let's see if we can hear from our referee. Might need to interpret the signal. Just getting confirmation, but I can't imagine where that flag has been thrown. It looks like...
catch interference. Sweden, number 42. The penalty for 15 yards from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
So there it is. Right, time for the fun fact.
So here we go. Talking to D-line coach as well as special teams coordinator Josh Gaff. The Great Britain defensive line, they've called themselves the Sharks. They've got stickers, they've got necklaces, even Coach Gaff is wearing one. And here's the question. Do you know what a collection of sharks is called?
Oh, well, I do not know what a collection of sharks is called, but leave it with me. But don't tell me yet. If I don't think we've got anything on social media for people to get in touch with, but a collection of sharks. That's going to be a false start. Big number 70 there for the Lionesses. Yasmin Kazo started pulling a little bit early there.
But it was really interesting there. They've got the jet sweep, you've got Sophia Clare coming in motion, and they were going to be running that power lead behind it. So now they're trying to put in the constraints to the base jet sweep that they put in those first few drives.
I'll tell you what, end of the first quarter, you can tell me what the collection of sharks is called. A collection of sharks. Right, keep talking, Matt Walker, because your job is not to think, your job is to talk. Here we go then with the call from the official, but we do think it's going to be a false start against the Lionesses.
Oh wow, it's going to go against Sweden. They don't seem to be able to catch a break at all in this first quarter of the game.
Offside, encroachment, call it what you will. But definitely a 5-yard penalty against the Swedes. First down then, and 5 to go for Fisher and the Lionesses. There's not been any plays, I don't think, yet inside Great Britain's own half. And Fisher goes to the outside. Dangerous play. Intended receiver there, number 19 for the Lionesses.
Yeah, they had a little rocket screen there. You've got the slot receiver blocking. They were able to release the right tackle as well. But because that Sweden defender did a really good job of trying to play the screen, there wasn't enough separation from the receiver away from the blocking to be able to complete that pass.
Catherine Stanley, the intended receiver. Interesting, we've not seen Ruth Matter with the ball in her hands as of yet.
No, there've been there's been a lot of short fields for Great Britain, and I think that might have impacted in the way that Coach Stone might have been looking at his scripted plays, his first 20 plays, so to speak. But yeah, we need to see ball in hand for Ruth.
Here we go then. Bobbled snap by Fisher, and she goes up top, and she's looking look in the way of Ollie Davis there, and Davis was nowhere near in the vicinity, but Natalie Bengtsson for Sweden had an opportunity to pick that one up.
And we were talking about Sarah Lindner playing a little bit of run game quarterback. Again, coming through that line, the Swedish middle linebackers, the strength of their defense is going to be those pressures from the linebackers. Ruth Matter was able to pick up that first impact of the blitz, but then it came through, and Siobhan Walker was Angelina was under massive pressure there to get the ball off.
3rd and 5 then, and here's pressure again, and that ball just out of the reach. Little swing pass attempted there for Matter, trying to get it into the playmaker's hand.
Yeah, and again, second play in a row there. You got number 4, Sarah Lindner, coming through. She managed to come through unblocked on that play, and it's almost impossible to be able to try and get the ball off. You can see the offense now staying on. 4th down. Don't try and fancy kicking it from the 27. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to try and dial up here.
Well, equally, with all due respect to Sweden, Andrew, at the moment, their offense hasn't really shown any signs of troubling the Great Britain defense. So I think, as you've said, not the best position to punt from. So 4th and 6, you may as well give this a crack. Try and build a little bit more confidence in your rookie QB. And that pop pass again. And that pop pass to the edge. Oh, a big collision there at the end of things. I think that was number 4 once again. We've mentioned her name, Sarah Lindner, a lot. She brings the boom down.
So a little shout out there. That's number 20, Sophia Clare, who ran the ball. Sophia Clare goes to my gym in Tipton. CrossFit Rudis, CrossFit Rudis are being represented in the stands as well as on the field, and while she didn't manage to make many yards off the play, she did keep hold of it, and now you've got Sweden setting up on the 24-yard line. It's almost as good as a punt, really. They've been able to put Sweden inside their own 30, and now we can see what the Great Britain defence do, and that collection of sharks there, Matt.
Yeah, okay, end of the first quarter, Andrew. I know you this is not what I want to say, but chomping at the bit to tell me. But here we go then, 1st down, Sweden. Ewell back at quarterback again. And that's just put up like a punt, and hits that player. No, it's not. I saw a 6 on the back and thought it was the 6 of Schechter, but it's the 6 of Lucy Peaty with a 3 in front of it. And unfortunately, that ball just floated like a punt, and Peaty just had to wait for it to come down. Interesting, though, she attacked it very well as well, knowing she was under a bit of pressure.
It's really interesting how I thought this game would go. I was speaking to Joe Walker at the start of the game, and I was thinking it will be a really heavy run game for the Swedes based on what they're able to do and what their strengths are. They seem to be passing it so much more than I thought, and there you see it. It wasn't a great pass. The timing wasn't really there. It ballooned up, and it was an easy pick for Great Britain. And now, once again, I don't think we've seen Great Britain start a drive inside their own half in this quarter.
That's absolutely accurate. And here they are again on the Sweden 38. 1st down, and that ball over Fisher's head, and she can't do anything but drop on it for a loss of 12. It's going to be at midfield now for 2nd down. Still obviously feeling the wobbles of this first start. Let's have a look at that again. Here's that pass again, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, there was a blitz in the face, so the QB, she wasn't able to set her feet, wasn't able to drive into the ball, so it was going to float a little bit. But in terms of what Sweden want to do, they've been passing so often in this first quarter. I feel like they just need to come back to their run game, those gap plays, counter plays, trying to stretch the defense and take advantage of that on Great Britain instead of trying to pass it.
Again, though, great concentration from Peaty to field that ball under pressure. That's well done by Fisher. That's a beautiful pass. And the pass to Matter, we mentioned her earlier on, and she picks up maybe nearly 20 yards there, close to the 1st down. What I really liked about that, though, is the way that Fisher looked off the safeties and then came back to the flats. Yeah,
you got a lot of man coverage from the Swedes there, so the outside receiver on the right was able to run a slant, little bit of a post inside. That freed it up for Ruth, and when you get Ruth on the edge and she's able to go north on it, it's going to be very difficult to catch her. That's a near 20-yard gain for the Great Britain Lions.
The placement of that pass was really impressive as well, though, allowing Matter to run onto that ball. And actually, you saw her accelerate to go and get it, which is what any receiver would want. They don't want to be waiting for that ball to come. They want to be that ball out in front. So really, a really mature play there from Fisher, looking those safeties off and then putting the ball into a perfect spot for Matter to be able to execute. Here we go again then, 3rd and short. Oh, hard count from the Brits, and I think they've got their reward for that hard count, as long as none of that O-line moved. And I think that's a pretty... Oh, I've not seen...
Maybe a delay of game coming in from the back judge there.
That's what I'm seeing as well. And number 70 for the Lions, hand on head.
Delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Yasmin Kazoo, number 70, had her hands on her head because they executed everything right.
Yeah.
The hard count, but just took a bit too long doing it. Third down then, 3rd and 6. Fisher's proved she can be effective through the air. What's your take on this the sort of non-huddle sort of, principle? Let's talk about that in a minute. Ball up top, intended receiver there, number 88.
It's interesting because as an offensive coordinator in the past, I've used it, and I end up coming back to a huddle because when you're waiting for the cards to come up, you're waiting for the time. I wonder if there's you get any kind of like speed or advantage out of it, especially if you want to get a motion in and you get a more complex play. But again, Great Britain are saying, right, we're not going to punt, we're not going to kick, we're going to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, interesting. Obviously, horses for courses. Some coaches like it, some don't. But at the moment, it may well be that players are taking a little bit long to get in there. And Fisher had all sorts of time there, and they were looking for a flag. And I think they were looking for that flag because the pass was a little bit behind the intended receiver, which meant the defender did run into that player, but nothing coming in. That will be a turnover on downs.
Yeah, Sweden changed their defense up. Their obvious passing down, they went to a 2-man under where you've got the 2 safeties lurking, man across the board everywhere underneath. So you had the crossing patterns all kind of like being taken up by the corners and the linebackers. So it was tough to find a window and an opening there with Great Britain trying to pass the ball.
We're still in the first quarter, Andrew.
It's been very stop-start. There's been a lot of changes of possessions, and it's only 12-minute quarters.
Oh, and that one nearly picked by Sydney Green. Going over the shoulder of the receiver to try and make that hers. And again, like you mentioned earlier, still pass heavy for the Swedes.
And this is why we are still in the first quarter. A lot of incomplete passes, a lot of changes of possession. So that clock doesn't change. We can't actually see the clock either, so I'm not sure how long is left in the first quarter.
No, and we want that first quarter to end so we can find out what a collection of sharks is.
And you've just got your phone out. There is absolutely no Google allowed on this. And nothing worse than somebody in a pub quiz trying to find what a collection of sharks is on the pub quiz.
Well, would you believe my mum's watching, which is brilliant, and she's put a collection of sharks. If you are cold, you do this.
Ah,
so
yes.
She's trying to give me a bit of a clue there.
Your mum is onto something there.
Thank you, Maureen Walker, for your support. As we see a big tackle for a loss there. Again, from that GB Lionesses defense, nothing going the way of the Swedes at all. If you're cold, you'll do
That's
the
the
right.
end of the first quarter.
Pressure's on.
Here we go.
Pressure is on. We've got the change of ends to get the answer.
I'm going to give you one go then. If you're cold, you do this. Is it a shiver of sharks?
That is correct.
Oh, come on!
We have a shiver of sharks down on the field, and actually we had a defensive lineman making that play straight away. The celebration was to show the shark fin, so it is a thing. It is a thing down here in Worcester.
I would not have got that without the help of Mum, so thank you, Mum. But a shiver of sharks, hey, every day's a school day. Didn't know that. That's brilliant. I love it.
Unfortunately, I have no more fun facts or challenges for us to be going through for the rest of the game.
So that is the end of the first quarter with the score, the Great Britain Lionesses 14 and Sweden 0. So here we go then, first play of the second quarter. A little option play there, and unfortunately Ewald only has the option of going to the turf. Another great read from the shiver at the front of that defense for the Lionesses.
That's it, you've got number 10, Christina Ibaronke on the tackle. And this is the thing, you've got a defensive line who are doing all the work up front. It allows those inside linebackers to see what's going on, to pick the spots, and then to be able to make clinical tackles. And it was a great work there.
So 4th and long, then it forces the Swedes to punt.
Oh,
and nearly
very
blocked.
close.
And it takes a Sweden bounce, but isn't going to get over the halfway mark. And Great Britain will once again takeover in Swedish territory.
Yeah, and this is the thing with a shield punt. Looked very close there to being able to get the block, but what it also meant was the long snapper was able to release downfield. That negates that threat of a return. And even though you look like you're very close to the block, it's magic. The shield punt, you never quite get close enough to it when you're trying to block it.
So we have had a query on YouTube if there is a clock in the stadium. There is a clock at either end of the field that the quarterbacks are able to see. Obviously we haven't got one on the screen, unfortunately, but there is an in-stadium advantage for them. As Siobhan Walker gets that jet sweep once again, and she's got acres of space on this near side, and she gets pushed out of bounds at the 25-yard line, but that's a pickup of 25 yards itself. First down.
I tell you what, you want to know why that play works? Because number 17, Sarah Okalola, has absolutely dominated that right-hand edge of the defense and has led that play out in front, along with Ruth Matter at running back. And Siobhan Walker's been able to turn the corner, ride that block all the way down the field and make a massive gain.
So once again then, the Lionesses knocking on the door. Utility player who is Siobhan Walker. She's been targeted through the air. She's taken the ball on a couple of jet sweeps. The odd handoff as well. And it's a real lovely security blanket for a rookie quarterback like Fisher to have at her disposal. And this time Fisher drops back and she has to step up, and she's in trouble, and she goes down, and a loss of 6 on the play. Number 4. I think that's
Sarah Lindner again. And you had a lovely smash concept there. You've got Siobhan running the corner, wide open. You had the two of the receivers running the diversion routes inside, but there was just no time because, again, we're talking about those inside linebacker blitzes, got through, and Angelina wasn't able to have any time to try and make that throw. But the corner was wide open if she could have got the protection.
Just having a look on YouTube. People now questioning what other groups of animals are called. How about what is a collection, if you think about the referees, what's a collection of zebras called? Oh. I've no idea, but that's Susanna Taylor. If you want to let us know at half-time. Oh, Matta then with a massive hole to the right-hand side, and she's going to outpace the Swedes to go in for 6 untouched. That's no flags. 32 yards on the play. Touchdown, Lionesses.
We talked about how Ruth Matter might not have been getting many touches, but when she does get them, they're dynamic touches that really change the game. In the first quarter, the swing pass down the side, and now we've got a running play here. We can see it on the replay. We've got the left tackle pull, but able to kick out, and that just sets the hole fantastically. Pull there by number 70, Yasmin Kazoo. Absolutely brilliant work there trying to set it up. And this comes back to the work of running backs coach Paul Cooper. You've got the O-line coach Connor Scholes really honing in on what different running attack to have. An effective gap play there. Fantastic work.
But the extra point is no good that time as the Swedes spoil that party. So Great Britain 20, then Sweden 0, still in the second quarter here from Sixways Stadium. Seen some great plays defensively from the Lionesses. A couple of splash plays as well on offense, the latest of which was that 32-yard scamper by Ruth Matter. Untouched for 6, and like you say, Kazoo threw that brilliant block to set her free, sealing the end. And Reed will get ready to kick off once again.
Yeah, I just want to say on this topic of the collection of animals, I think my mum is betting heavily on the Grand National today, so I don't know if I'm going to get a mother's influence to try and get an answer there, but if anybody wants to help me out, I haven't got an absolute Scooby-Doo.
Interesting as well. Obviously a shiver is one, but there's also, I think, I saw there are lots of names for a collection of shark. This is Stephen Lodge, thanks for your input. Lots of names for a collection of shark. A shiver is my favourite. Others are a frenzy, a herd, a shoal, a grind, or a college.
I feel like everyone's just making it up at this point.
I think you're right. Yeah, we'll stick with shiver. But anyway, whatever you call them, that defensive front of the Lionesses are having that feeding frenzy in their shiver. Ball is up and lands at the 26. Fielded just inside the 26 by the returner, and that returner is Anna Hedström. Let's see if this latest Swedish outing can be any more favourable for them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'd like to see them trying to run a little bit more out of those spread looks, because when they're going to that heavy QB run formation, quite predictable, and they don't seem to be doing too much in the pass game through the conventional set. We've seen a lot of motion by number 5, a lot of attempted passes into the flats. So let's see what they can come up with on this drive.
I tell you what, you've really started something here, Andrew. Joel Dell has told us what a pack of zebras is called, but I know you can't see the YouTube feed at the moment, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. Let's see if your mum gets in touch as Ewald drops back to pass. And that looks like it's going to be picked!
Oh, great
and
pick.
it is! Number 22 for the Lionesses. That is Emily Mullen with the interception, and she read the pass before the receiver even knew it was on its way.
Yeah, absolutely great job there, anticipating the route, being able to see the QB's eyes. Coach Hill, the defensive coordinator, loves to play zone eyes, loves to play a zone coverage where they're looking at what the receiver's doing, but also trying to keep an eye on the quarterback. And as we have a look here, yeah, she comes off a bit off the corner. She sees that thrown to the flat. We've seen it about 74 times already this game. So she's been able to come down and really take advantage of the predictability of the Swedish offense.
Part of the problem as well with that pass, if we are being picky, there's not enough zip on it, is there? You know, it's kind of being floated over there, giving that DB time to come off her player and then reread that and make a play. But here we go again then. Once again, another possession for the Lionesses inside. Oh, and that looked like Fisher wanted that before Ollie Davis had completed her motion.
Full start, offense, 80.
Yeah, and you just with the procedural penalties, you're just seeing hints of what the offense are trying to do. So there you got the receiver coming in motion. Ollie Davis is trying to run that slant behind it. So you fake the jet sweep, you pop the slant in behind the backers as they come up onto the run. But because of those procedural penalties, we just haven't been able to see those plays come off.
Samantha Reed called for the false start there, but you could see Fisher was screaming at her centre to get that snap delivered.
Oh.
Here we go then. First down and 15, and Mata on that same play that she scored on. She goes down hard to the turf and actually looked like she slammed the back of her head on the turf there. A little bit slow to get up. Mata, a real tough cookie, and I think that one did take its toll, but she picks up the yardage +1 that was lost on the previous penalty.
Yeah, there's a real strength to this offense in terms of running the ball on that right-hand side. You had, again, you had Sheo Okalola and the right tackle of Tara Minto being able to dominate the right-hand side of the Swedish defense, and there are big chunks of yards to be had when they're running right.
2nd and 9 then. Mata in the backfield with Fisher again. And it's not Mata, in fact, it's number 15 this time who gets the handoff, and she's got acres of space. Stephanie Wyant with the carry. First time we've called her name this afternoon, but very profitable for the Lionesses.
Interesting. Sweden tried to switch and pinch their front just before the snap there, and it caused a little bit of confusion. Steph had to try and break an arm tackle there, but because she got that through that first line, she was then able to make big yards as a result of it.
So it almost looked at one point there like one of her own players was going to bring her down, but managed to avoid one of the big O-line players. We've got another first down then. This time, looks like a broken play by the looks of things. Fisher looks to try and make something of it herself. She does manage to get past the line of scrimmage for a pickup of a yard. Again,
didn't look like there was too much going on from the receivers, which makes you think it was a designed quarterback run, but not too sure where the intention of that play was supposed to go.
Second down it is then.
Do I at least get a hint on the zebra question? Can I at least get a clue?
A clue. Well, again, we've had a couple of names. There's been a couple.
A letter, maybe?
Yeah, it's quite an out there word. It begins with a couple of names, one beginning with Z, one beginning with D, as Wyant once again takes the ball up the middle, and she manages to pick up close to a first down, just inside the 15 down to about the 11-yard line. The D word could be what would happen if somebody didn't dip their beam when you were driving towards them.
Okay then. So
I don't know where he is.
Timeout. Sweden. It's their second timeout.
So as we've heard from our referee, second timeout for the Swedes in this first half.
So who knew that we would be running a nature documentary in the middle of an American football game? When I was driving to the stadium today, that definitely wasn't on my agenda. However, so what we're saying is you can have a dazzle of zebra on the African plains.
Apparently you can. The cardboard geek, thank you very much. But apparently there's also a zeal of zebras. But anyway,
Yeah.
no, I'm with you. When I was driving down the M42 today, it's amazing where this sport can take you.
Yeah, I was thinking of counter-run game. I was thinking about the different quarterbacks. Was not thinking of why didn't I watch David Attenborough last night.
So second time out by the Swedes. It's third and about 3 for the Lionesses. Still in the second half, but this game close to being out of sight, really, from the scoreboard, but also from what we've seen on offer by the Scandinavian outfit.
And also for a perspective of Coach Stone here, everything in the playbook is open. You've got 2 downs. If you really want to try and put the hammer down on it, trying to get that first, so you can take a shot on third, maybe come back to it on fourth.
So third down, it is then. Fisher again. Very similar formation we've seen all day. She's going to the air and she's lost it out again, and it's just in and out of the hands of Emily Irvin.
What a lovely little play design there. You've got the one-step slant from the outside receiver. You've got the running back on the rail down the sideline. Again, taking advantage of that man coverage because nobody seems to be taking the running back coming out of the flats. She's wide open, and it was just fingertips away from being an easy walk-in score.
So that brings up fourth down. Well, this is a bit mean. We've had back to the zebras just for a second. Nick Evans. Is a pack of zebras called a false start?
Okay, just gonna
moving on.
Yeah, there's tumbleweed in the executive box of the Worcester Warriors Stadium.
And the kick attempting to add 3 more on for the Lionesses is wide to the left. So unfortunately, Samantha Reed cannot tack on 3 more, and Sweden will take over from that point. So you think as well, what this may well give Coach Stone the opportunity to do in the second half, if the score remains the same, is to give reps to the backups and just get them involved in international football and ready for the journey ahead in this European Championships over the next couple of years.
This is the thing, because if we think about the day ones, as it were, of Great Britain players like the Bo Stewarts, the Phoebe Schechters, the Ollie Campbells, who have been here really since the inauguration of the programme, there are a lot of really interesting stories of new players coming through, really talented players that we're going to be able to have a little talk about when they get their chance in the second half.
So first down, Sweden then, and that is handoff, and that's what we expected from the start. And actually, look, that looks positive. Gain of 3 or 4 on first down.
Yep, don't need to get too fancy with the motions or the passes. Just go downhill, try and get some positivity. A 3-yard gain comes up with a 2nd and 7, and now Sweden can look at their plays, see what they want to think about.
Well, it's great to know, just flicking around the social media, good to know that my family are watching as well. Dan, Alex, Sienna, my wife Amanda on her way back from skiing in Austria. They all love the shiver. You've really started something there, Andrew. I'm liking that. This is something that could run and run. All offensive and defensive lines up and down the country are going to be naming themselves after different packs of animals after this one. So, second down it is then. Try to go to the ground once again. And this time, Ellen Luke, with the carry, number 23 for Sweden.
Yeah, and again, just a gaggle. Sorry, another collective noun of things, of players. You've got number 85, Zoe John, there, who came off the pile and was really influential in making that tackle. The D-line are really doing a great job of controlling things at the moment for Great Britain's defence.
So from 2nd and 6, the Swedes now facing 3rd and 8. You kind of fancy the chances of the Lionesses to thwart this attempted conversion. Ball back on the ground again in that same play. And you see there is some daylight there for the Swedes. But 4th down and 5 is going to be the proposition, and the punt unit will come back onto the field.
This is it, because on that play there, you saw number 92, Victoria Ware, getting massive penetration through that A-gap and really being able to take two defenders with her. That means that the linebackers' safeties can converge. But again, just a hint that there's a little bit more offense there for Sweden if they can start to show a little bit more balance.
So here's that punt then. Oh, a line drive this time. And it is going to be fielded inside the 50, and Davis makes 2 players miss. And now she's still on her feet at the 25. and she's scythed down at the 23-yard line, but another good return by Ollie Davis.
That's it, because the long snapper is able to get out number 42, but there doesn't seem to be much else coming through in terms of staying in lanes from the punting team. So as soon as you make that catch and get past the first defender, there are some serious gains and gaps in the coverage to be had. And the last couple of punt returns now, Great Britain have been able to exploit that.
So another short field for the Lionesses. And still before the half, looking to try and stretch this advantage. This opening game of the IFAF Women's European Championships, and Ruth Matter on the ground. Acres of space again, puts her foot down, turns the corner, gets inside the 5, and is ridden out at the 3-yard line.
Yeah, so as Ruth was able to bounce that running play, you got left tackle Yasmin Kazoo, who was just able to absolutely pancake her defender. She was able to run around that. Then she had the block on the outside by yeah, so you see here, absolutely demolishes her defender, and then as she bounces it to the outside, you got the number 7 receiver. Yep, so that's Ollie Davis being able to really clinch it, and it was just fingertips to the goal line for the score.
Frida Ackerson with the touchdown saving tackle, but once again, maybe only delaying the inevitable, as Fisher now with 4 receivers to the right, and that one flies over her head back to the 20-yard line. All she can do once again is drop on that football. And from 1st and goal, it will remain 2nd and goal, but 2nd and goal from the 23.
Oh, absolute pity there. They've gone trips to the field. They've brought the tight end to that side as well. So essentially you've got quads to the field. So you could have had potentially a pass. You could have had the QB sweep run behind it. Just had the poor snaps. You weren't quite able to see what that play would have become.
So 2nd and goal then from the 23. Not often where you're going to be doing goal line plays from, and obviously this won't be a goal line play. But here we go then, twins either side for Fisher.
Yeah, switch to 2 safeties again.
Yep, indeed they have. The middle linebacker edging up as well, now drops back into coverage. And Fisher gets the ball across the middle of the field, looking for number 17 on the reception, who is Sarah Okalola, but unfortunately, she was snagged rather awkwardly, and good to see her back up on her feet, because when you get snagged on this sort of turf like that, it can often be a lower limb injury.
Yeah, it looked like she got contacted quite up high and ridden as she went down to the turf, so you got the impact of the player, got the impact of the surface as well. So great, good to see that she's able to get to the sideline on her own 2 feet.
Pass did fall incomplete. In fact, actually, they've given a 2-yard gain. Ball
yeah, they gave it down by contact there.
Ball now on the 21. That ball did squirt out at the end, and oftentimes when you see a player get tackled and the ball comes out, it's because they're more concerned about their injury rather than possessing the football. So good to see her make her own way to the sideline. So 3rd and goal from the 21, trips to the left. Reed on her own to the right. Fisher looking to her left, got time, going up top, looking over for, is that Matter or Walker? Can't quite get the 2nd digit. I think that might be Siobhan Walker, number 27 it is. There is a flag on the play though.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting there. You've got the back judge, sorry, the field judge on the far side has thrown it right on the release there. So if we have a look at the replay.
Holding, defense number 1. That's a 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So the outside receiver's trying to run the in on that smash concept. The number 1's just held her as she's made a break and then cut to the inside. An easy easy flag to throw. Now they get first down again.
Indeed, so from 3rd and goal at the 21, it becomes 1st down and goal from the 11. It remains 1st and goal rather than 1st and 10.
And when we talk about the no huddle, you've got people frantically with like A0 sheets trying to get the correct number and colour. So you do wonder sometimes about the speed of it.
Indeed, that defensive line shifts now as they feel a run play coming, and it is handed off. Ball goes to Emily Irvin, who tiptoes her way up to the 5-yard line for a pickup of 6.
Yeah, a great story there for Emily. She Birmingham Lions player, came to a rookie day 2 years ago and had never seen American football, never seen the sport, and has taken that and in 2 years has been able to go to the World Championships, being selected, and now on the field looking to try and score a touchdown for Great Britain.
Irvin remains the back to the right of Fisher. Fisher looking to go to the air and looking to get Irvin with the ball, and it's just over the wrong shoulder as far as Irvin's concerned, but pressure in Fisher's face. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the fact that it's a comfortable 20-0 to Great Britain, but a real problem that they're facing is when both of those linebackers blitz, because there you've got six people rushing. The running back's able to pick one up, but if that other linebacker is clever and is able to dodge the offensive lineman, they're uncovered. And again, Angelina is trying to throw it with a defender in her face, and it's not going to be as accurate.
Irvin returns to the sideline, and veteran Ruth Matter comes into the fray. 5 yards to go. Walker in motion as well, and Walker with Matter blocking. She looks to cut inside, but then takes it to the outside. Goes once again, trying to find the edge. Hangs the ball over the goal line.
Touchdown.
It looked, well, no signal yet. It looks like they're going to spot her short. That sideline official has come in, and she is going to be half a yard short.
Sorry, I thought I saw hands up from the side judge. But you've got number 44 here. The wide receiver, Kenya Peters, who's blocking, trying to find blocks, trying to string it out.
Warning, 1:56.
Yeah, I saw the timeout. I thought that was touchdown. That was my fault.
No problem at all. But we have reached the 2-minute warning in this one. The score, Great Britain 20 and Sweden 0 still to get on the board. And with 1:56 remaining, this looks like Fisher's going to, in fact, it's Sydney Green coming on. Sydney Green using her physicality, and that was a mismatch right from the start. Quick snap, no chance for that defensive line of the Swedes. And that is 6 more for the Lionesses.
I think somebody's been watching the Philadelphia Eagles and their quarterback sneak from the most recent NFL season, because you've got the quarterback under center, you've got the running backs in behind. As soon as the snap's taken, obviously they're barreling forward, but then it becomes a rugby scrum, trying to push over the line, and it was only about a yard or two that they, maybe even half a yard that they needed to make. It was an easy walk-in score.
Reed on again to attempt the extra point. High snap again, but Green manages to corral that. The ball is up and good. Adding on to Great Britain's tally, 27-0 then, ahead of the Scandinavians, and there's that touchdown again.
Yeah, it's just really hard, especially when you've got half a yard. You've got the QB under center. Soon as the ball snapped, the offensive line get low. They drive and barrel their way forward. They get a little bit of help from the running backs behind. An easy walk-in score for Great Britain to really solidify their lead.
So stay with us at half-time, because we'll have Joe Walker will be on the sideline with Lindsay Llewellyn, competitions manager of the new Super 11s. Should be interesting to hear from Lindsay all about that. But before that, we still have around about 1:40 to go, so Reed is going to fire this one back towards Sweden. It's fielded on the 20-yard line with a little bit of room, but met immediately is Hedström, Anna Hedström, with the return.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important to see what Sweden do here. They're in a bit of a hole, 27 points down. It'd be nice to see them try and use their timeouts, try and play a little bit of a 2-minute drill, desperately try and get some momentum so that they can come back out in the second half. Receiving the ball as they declined the first half kickoff, they could try and swing it around here.
Well, you never know, stranger things have happened. Obviously they've been pretty much dominated in all areas of the game so far, but yeah, 2-minute offense, can they get something going, and then, as you've mentioned, come out the second half with possession. Motion coming again, quarterback keeper looks to be designed, but that's going to, number one, get blown up in the backfield, and number two, probably be the flag on the play will more than likely be against the Swedes, I think.
Yeah, you got Ebenezer Fraser there finishing off the tackle there, but I wonder with the motion whether she didn't set before the ball was snapped.
Yeah, it did look that way. But I think obviously Coach Stone will decline that penalty based on the fact that there was such a loss of yardage. Although
offside, defense number 18, 5-yard penalty first.
Yeah, so being able to throw that flag quite quickly. Wonder if they were just lined up in the neutral zone before the ball was snapped and incurring that offside.
Devonne Dwyer guilty of that encroachment penalty for the Brits. 1st and 5 then. Looks like being a similar play again, in fact, but it is handed off the other way, and it's Hedstrom who is bottled up in the backfield, nowhere to go.
Yeah, they try to run a little counter play there, but you got Rebecca Martin, number 5, who beats the block, able to get into the backfield and just engulfs it before it even has a chance to start.
Timeout, Great Britain. It's their first timeout.
Interesting. Inside 2 minutes, 27 to zip up, and Coach Stone using his timeouts.
That's it. They're seeing this as an opportunity to get some points on the board, make a statement. It's the number 2 team in the world, after all. So we've got to make sure that that they've got as much chance as they can.
Good to see so many people watching on the stream from all over Europe. People from Switzerland, from Sweden, as you'd expect. Obviously all over the UK as well. Get in touch on that YouTube stream if you can, and let us know where you're watching from, as Hedstrom tries to take a jet sweep, but this one's going nowhere fast. She manages to get out of the grips of the first defender, but then a swarm of British players managed to grab her down after another loss of 3.
Yeah, we talked about Rebecca Martin on that last play. She's been able to string that out. A defensive lineman going against the wide receiver, chased it down, not giving her a chance to go upfield.
Great Britain. They're second.
And as that goes side to side, all of the defenders converge and are able to make the tackle. So great work there by the Shiver of Sharks.
We have had a comment on the YouTube feed just to say, right, enough's enough, boys.
I think that's justified and fair.
So here we go then, 3rd down and 12. Nevertheless, you do like to know the sort of the way that these teams are built, and the relationship that obviously the players and the coaches, positional coaches, have. It's always great getting to know how things are being done, as this time jet sweep is faked and the ball is kept by Lindner.
Yep, Sidney Green there on the tackle. But again, it's now brought up 4th and very short, so going to be really, really interesting to see what Sweden want to do here. Looks like they're bringing their punt team on, which is a pity. You want to see them try and have a go. They're 4 scores down at this point. Can they make 3 yards and push it? No, they're going to try and punt it away.
Kicking it away. But interestingly, look at that. Nobody back deep, and actually, yeah, they've read that well, thinking about the fake punt, but that fake punt falls foul once again.
It's interesting. Nobody went back to return it, so they thought it was going to be a fake. But we've got a late flag here. I think there's going to be a horse collar tackle here that takes it 15 and keeps the ball for Sweden.
Yeah, those of you relatively new to the sport, horse collar, you're not allowed to grab the back of the shoulder pads around the neck area and actually then snag the player backwards. Obviously for safety reasons. Let's listen to our referee.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 36. 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first.
Yeah, and that's a big one, Andrew. Lucy Petey, I think, number 36.
Yeah, it's a real pity. They stuffed it, they picked it. You could see the Great Britain coaches on the sideline frantically shouting it, so they could see it coming as well. And it's just given Sweden some momentum, potentially undeserved momentum, but it's given them a chance to do something in this last minute of the half.
Well, again, we mentioned earlier in the game about how Sweden just weren't getting any breaks, and maybe this will charge them a little bit going into half-time, into the second half. They're in Great Britain's side of the field for the first time this afternoon.
Yeah, and they're getting a little bit more momentum out of this quarterback run offense. So number 4,
timeout, Sweden.
Number 4, Sarah Lindner.
Their third and last timeout.
Seems to be dominating it a little bit more now in terms of the snap count, and they seem to be getting a little bit more. But you can see here now, Great Britain, they're going to more of a run-heavy set on defense. They're bringing their players close to the line of scrimmage. You've got the safety overhanging. It's going to be tough to run when everybody's inside that box.
Yeah, when you've got you've got Josephine Simmons, number 1 there. See that, is that PT again there, 36, just dropped back. When your deepest defender, he's only sort of 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage, you're kind of saying, right, we know what you're going to do here.
Yeah.
Load that box. But Sweden timeout. Let's have a look then. A few more people around and about. Kim Stone, familiar name. Hello from the USA. Go Great Britain. I wonder what the link there might be. Kim Stone. Marcel Bittner, best greetings from Germany. Good to have you on board. We've got Lauren watching from Norfolk. Cardboard Geek up in Sheffield. We'll be watching with my son, but he's in Bristol trialing for the Felton Pride. Interesting. So yeah, get in touch. Obviously, other people, as I mentioned, other from Sweden. We've got Gridiron Beauties. Great job, guys, from California.
Wow, everybody around the world watching the game here. It's fantastic.
Well, considering that in California now it's 8 a.m., that's good commitment. Thank you ever so much for joining us, whoever Gridiron Beauties may be. Let's get back to the game here then. First down, Sweden. That is that run-heavy quarterback again, and she looks to try and turn the corner, but it's Phoebe Schechter, first time we've called her name this afternoon, who brings down Sarah Lidner for a loss of 2.
And the reason for that is because Bo Stewart absolutely destroyed the left tackle as she shot out of her stance. That meant that the runner had to go sideways, meant that Phoebe could come down from the safety position and make the tackle there. Phenomenal work of taking on the block there by Bo Stewart.
Oh, here's one from old Spoonie.
Oh, hello.
Matthew Davis. Ask Morgs what he comes dressed as today, please.
Well, I went for Dapper Henley Gentleman, so I think I've pulled that off quite well, Spoonie.
Well, to be honest, as we look at second down and 12, I'll tell you what I think he's come as today. As Littner once again tries to keep the ball on that QB run, and again, there's nothing doing there. In pre-game, we interviewed Anna Jönsson, who's the head coach of Sweden, and as we walked across the field with
quarter, half time.
Oh, as we get to half-time here in this one, as we walked across the field to where we conduct the interview.
This is the end of the first half.
It looked remarkably like Morgs had come dressed as one of the Swedish coaches.
Well, this is a debate that I've had with Coach Hill for many a year. I believe coaches should be dressed in cream khakis. It's a good look. It's suave. You feel like you're looking good on the sideline, and I'm happy to bring that look to the commentary box as well.
And you do, and the fact that your handkerchief matches my tie, you know, we've done pretty well there. But anyway, that is half-time here in Worcester with the score. A resounding Great Britain Lionesses 27 and Team Sweden 0. And I think pretty much, Andrew, if we're to sum up that first half, the score pretty much says it all. It
does, but I mean, something that is just happening off camera as we were speaking there. You've got number 36, Lucy Peaty, being coached up, even though it's 27-0. She's clearly bothered by the fact that 15-yard horse collar gave them a chance at the end of the first half. And it was frustrating, but Coach Hill's been able to really talk to her, understand the situation, and make sure she goes into that halftime locker room with a positive head, and that's some really good coaching there.
So as far as Sweden are concerned, you put yourself, obviously you've coached on many teams, different positions all over the UK, variety of many years. You are now, you're dressed as the Swedish head coach, so you are now the position of the Sweden head coach, taking those girls into the locker room. What's your message?
I think there's two things to consider. The first is this isn't the only game they've got. This new format of the championships, they're going to have a game in May. I'm not sure who their game is against, but they've got to be able to consolidate and think about what they're doing. The second part of it is we're over here. We need to be able to put something on show in that second half. So all these little things that we're getting wrong procedurally, we need to make sure that we tighten up on. They've flicked between a spread offense with one quarterback, a more condensed offense with another. They need to figure out what they want to do in the second half. Really hone in on that, make sure that they're capitalizing on what they know they can run effectively, and then see if they can put together drives, put together first downs, and try and sustain it that way.
And how lovely is that, just as you were talking there, you see where the crowd have been located there, as we mentioned earlier, to try and get that cacophony of noise going, but the girls obviously being able to go back down the tunnel at half-time, past all their family and friends, and it almost feels like the game's ended.
This is it, and so often we see championships that are abroad. We see individual games. Great Britain men just played in Italy. Great Britain juniors have just played in Italy. Sometimes it can feel quite isolating to be a Great Britain player playing abroad, because we know that family, friends are going to struggle to come and watch. Here's a great opportunity to play in front of that home crowd, and then to be able to really put on a performance for them.
So as the Great Britain coaches leave their field, we will leave our positions momentarily. We'll wet our whistle, get a little bit of sustenance, then we will join you very shortly for the build-up to the second half. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sixways Stadium here in Worcester. We're just about to get the second half underway of Great Britain against Sweden. As you can see from the score, if you are just joining us, it was a dominant performance in that first 30 minutes by the Lionesses, and I think reflected by the scoreline. So Andrew, joined in the commentary box by Andrew Morgan, BAFCA educator and long-time associate with all things American football in the UK. What do you expect from the second half? I'm going to read a few little comments at the moment, in a minute, that we've had on the YouTube stream about what people are expecting. But what do you expect to see from both sides in the second half?
I think from the Great Britain perspective, I'm expecting, I'm hoping to see them run the ball more, because with the stable of running backs they have, the success they've had with the jet sweep, I've lost track of the amount of times that we've mentioned offensive linemen who are putting people on the floor, dominating blocks and sealing the edges. So I'd like to see them consolidate that, because ultimately what they're doing is they're preparing for their next game against Germany, and being able to put that on tape and being able to be confident in what they're doing assignment-wise is going to be really key. I mean, we were sat here at halftime and we watched the Swedish coaching staff have about a 15-minute conversation about what's going on, what are we doing, and I'd like to see them get back to some basics and really try and put together some drive and some consistency for their own sake in this second half.
Just a quick recap of the scoring then. Siobhan Walker opened things up in the first quarter with a 17-yard scamper on a jet sweep. Conversion was good for a 7-0 lead. Then on the next possession, Great Britain fumbled, but the Swedes couldn't make anything of that. Next TD came from Fisher, the new quarterback, who galloped in from 4 yards out to score the second Great Britain touchdown. Then into the second quarter, Ruth Matter with a beautiful 32-yard rush to the outside to get in for 6. And there was a missed field goal opportunity, but then Sydney Green, a long time Lioness, came in and rammed things home from the 2-yard line on QB sweep. That's QB keep, rather, QB sneak, which gives us that 27-0 scoreline that you see in front of you. Samantha Reed kicks things off in the second half. The Swedes won the toss, elected to defer, and they will receive the second half kickoff. And one of the Swedes that we've mentioned quite a lot, Sarah Lidner, takes that return back to the 34-yard line, and Sweden will take the field.
Yes, it looks like Sarah Lidner staying on the field, so that means that's going to be her running the operations as quarterback. So expect to see a lot of bunch looks, some pulling linemen, and hopefully really a commitment to that run game, because we saw flashes of it in that first half. We'd like to see that a little bit more in this second half.
Interesting. Claire de Beer, interesting comment, and probably one that Coach Stone will be interested in as well. Right, second half, eliminate the mistakes and get more points on the board. Trying to tighten things up, like you say, ready for that next game against Germany in May, as on first down they do go to the run, and in fact it's Ewald in at quarterback, but they do try the running game and pick up 4 yards. So yeah, eliminating mistakes second half.
Yeah, I think so. I think we saw in those first couple of drives there were false starts, procedural penalties, there was a delay of game. There were just those little things of a team feeling a little bit jittery on the home stage. A lot of fans watching, a lot of noise from the crowd, and just needed to calm it down and smooth things out. Yeah,
there is a good contingent of fans over there, both waving the Union flag, and also though with the Swedish flag we can see. Ball handed off once again, and this one doesn't get past the defensive line of the Lions.
Yeah, you got number 10 again. We've said her name in the first half, Christina Ibaronke, really able to stand it up and stop the runner from making any momentum. Somebody else had her legs as well. I couldn't quite catch the number as they came out of the pile there, but really good job by the GB defense, corralling on the ball and bringing up now a third and about 5 or 6 yards.
So a positive start to this second half for the Swedes, and that's really what they need, just to get something going in Coach Jönsson's first stint in charge of Team Sweden. Back on the ground again, and Sydney Green snaffles that one back to the line of scrimmage, but no further.
Yeah, it's a really nice kind of blitz replace play there by Great Britain. Sydney's lined up as an outside backer, has blitzed off the edge, knowing that the safety's going to cover her slot receiver behind, and is unaccounted for in the blocking scheme, so she's be able to scoot around the offensive line, make the tackle, and Sweden made no yards on that third down whatsoever.
I suppose though, if we're being as positive as we can towards Sweden, that's no loss of yardage on 3 plays. Only picked up 6 yards, but I say no loss of yardage. Is this going to be?
There's 13 players on the field. Oh no, we got the commentator's curse there.
Oops. As those 2 Swedes run off, realising their error. But yes, they may need 13 players at the moment to be taking on this Great Britain outfit, but sorry, that is not allowed. So too many players on the field. We'll march them back 5 yards, and they will punt from where the original line of scrimmage was. Ollie Davies back to return again. Ooh. Yeah, close to being blocked again.
Yeah, the umpire was thinking about throwing that flag, running into the kicker, so they've just about got away with it.
So as I mentioned earlier on, be lovely to hear where you're watching from. I know we've got people as far away as California. We've got people in Germany, in Sweden, all over the UK. If you put a little message there on the YouTube feed, we'll try and read a few of those out as we go on through this second half. We welcome back to the field Angelina Fisher in her first start as a Lioness. Quarterback for Great Britain. Siobhan Walker there, utility player, lined up in slot. That does take a lot of handoffs as well. But this time the handoff is going to Ruth Matter. Ruth Matter is crushed for a loss of 3 on first down. That play just seemed a little slow to develop.
Yeah, it looked like she wasn't quite sure what the play was. Everyone had lined up. She's then going back to the wristband to really check what's going on. And you're holding the O-line in the stands. Everybody stood around, and you could tell that the delay of tempo really affected what was going on in the play there.
It's good to know the support, obviously, from Scandinavia as well. We've got Anna Jönsson's offspring watching as well. High snap, well fielded from Fisher, and Matter now is in open space, and she puts her foot in the ground, turns the corner, and she's up to midfield. Little goose step, gets her past the 30, down to the 25-yard line, and that's all Ruth Matter at her very best.
Yeah, great little split zone there. You can see that they left the defensive end. You've got the wing coming across to kick out, which means that you get a double team by the offensive line. So if we watch the replay here, they left 42. You've got the left tackle, left guard, double teaming the defensive lineman. It means that Ruth can get upfield, get the penetration, bounces it to the sideline, and there aren't too many people who are going to catch Ruth when she's got a head of steam on her like that.
Beautifully done. Ignites the second half and ignites the crowd here at Sixways Stadium. So Fisher now operating from the 25-yard line with Matter alongside her left-hand side, and Matter takes the handoff again. Same play with that pull-in lineman. This time not as fruitful, but still a pickup of 6.
Yeah, we talk about like that wide 9 technique from a defensive end. Number 42 decided to line up in what looked like a wide 13, and with the same play, it just means she took herself out of the play straight away. The only difference here, the linebackers were able to get downhill on the tackle, and that only went for 5 yards as opposed to 25 yards.
So all the players checking their wristbands once again on second down, 4 to go. Looking like a long 5, actually. Fisher surveys things, hands off to Matter, going the other way this time, and again dominance by the offensive line opens gap after gap for Matter to make her choice, and she picks up enough to pick up a first down inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, there's a reason why that play worked so effectively. The centre, Vanessa Mansaray, was able to take number 4 on the blitz. She was able to control her, take her away from the play side, and that meant that Ruth could get past the penetration that had happened and then get up into the second level of the defense.
First and goal again then, first possession of the second half for the Lionesses, looking threatening once again. Fisher, it's worked every other time, and this time ball handed off to number 15, who turns the corner, nothing up the middle, but it is Stephanie Wyant who scores the opening touchdown of the second half for the Lions. Are there... I can't see any flags.
No, just an injury on the field.
Okay.
But that was a lovely job there. An inside zone play. Stephanie's she's come to the line. She's hit her landmark in terms of where she was supposed to run it. It's absolutely clogged up. So she's done a great job taking the coaching of Paul Cooper, a long-time coach, Birmingham Lions, and bounced it to the outside, and she'll be able to turn on the jets and then take it in for the score.
And a big response from the crowd there as well on that touchdown. But great vision, nothing doing inside, and then manages to bounce outside and take it all the way around the edge to pay dirt. Excellent start for the Lionesses. So injury, I think, can't quite get a number for you. Is that touchdown again, Andrew?
Yeah, so again, another split zone. You see the offensive lineman, sorry, the tight end trying to come across and kind of kick it out, but because it was all bunched up inside, there wasn't that clear running lane for the running back to take. So all she does is say, right, fair enough, I'll just take it around the outside. I've got a speedy couple of legs on me. I'm going to take it in for that score and really capitalise. Really good first drive of that second half for the Great Britain Lions offense.
The sun breaks through here on this Saturday afternoon in the West Midlands, as that injured player does manage to get to her feet and get herself off under her own steam, looking like Tara Minto, number 79, so that's good to see.
It's interesting, you've got this this Philadelphia Eagles sneak that they were looking at, but then they've shifted out of it. Nice to see that they can play around with both of it out of that same field goal formation.
Well, when Sydney Green's your holder, You know, you've got numerous options, because not only can Sydney Green barrel it in from a couple of yards out, but we know she's got the arm as well and the experience to play quarterback. But instead, they elect at this point to just let Samantha Reed kick the extras, but it is blocked. Blocked and fallen upon by the Swedes, so it will remain GB 27 and Sweden 0. In fact, it won't. It'll be 34-0.
Yeah, it's interesting we're talking about Sydney Green there, and one of the pre-game narratives was going to be how effectively Great Britain could transition away from her being the quarterback, and you know how effective she's going to be playing at linebacker. But looking at Angelina Fisher's game, you can tell there are a few nerves and a few jitters that need kind of to be smoothed out, and that's going to come through reps and game time. But in terms of the drop-off, it's been negligible, and the Great Britain offense has done really well with the behind centre.
Yeah, so contrary to what that score says on your screen, it is 33-0 after that point after it was blocked. From Kurt Greaves, Steph Wyant is our girl. Half the Thrashers women's team are sat in the stadium watching, and the other half are watching at home. And then capital letters, that's our girl. So big support here for touchdown scorer Steph Wyant. As Reed kicks off once again in the Worcester sunshine. And it's going to fall inside the 30. Picked up once again by Lidner. Doing a fair share of the work this afternoon for the Swedes. And they're going to pick things off now with their offense at the 29-yard line.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way of just placing that ball over that last blocking line before the returners. Kills the ball, means that they can get downfield quickly, and after she picked the ball up, not many yards on the return, which is really good for the Great Britain defence to start with good field position.
It's great to see so many people watching from various different clubs around the country. Teesside Steelers. Shout out there. We've got people from the Chargers in Leeds. Norwich Devils players Catherine Stanley and Vix Ware being supported as well out in Norfolk. As on first down, the Swedes pick up 2 yards.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to talk about the development of the women's game alongside this, because you look at the women's season this year, moving up to that 9-man game where it's been 5, it's been 7s. So the top level of the game is now progressing onto that full field with 9 players aside, and it's helping to funnel players into Great Britain who have more experience of the 53-yard gridiron.
And the Swedes, good to see the Swedes still smiling in the crowd as well, whilst the GB fans bring the noise you can hear. So second down, nothing doing again for the Swedes. Ellen Luke stopped after a loss of a yard, which will bring up 3rd and long.
Yeah, Corey Stevenson there doing a great job coming off the block and then being able to wrap up the ball carrier before she even made a yard there.
So much of the same, really, for the Swedes at the start of this second half. Gone away from that passing game though, and trying to now pound the rock a little bit. See if they can have any success on the ground. 3rd down ball bobbled, and now we go to the air, and that one is almost just thrown away out of desperation. Intended receiver once again was Luke, but nothing doing there. And Sweden will punt once again.
Yeah, really interesting there. Coach Hill's now going into the he's going into the locker and looking for the design blitzes and the exotic pressures. There you can see a slant to the left from the defensive line. Then the linebackers were looping around to the right-hand side, came free, and then the quarterback didn't have the chance to get the ball off in time.
We've said it already numerous times, but Ollie Davies back to return. We've seen her electric on these kick returns so far when she's had the opportunity, and she may well get another here as it bounces, and she does field that ball, makes the first tackle, not miss, and there's a flag on the far side, and that could be an illegal block in the back, which would march the Lionesses back further. But a good open field tackle there by the Swedes, limiting Davies' ability to break free this time.
Yeah, it's number 42, Sophia Balton. When you do run that shield punt, most of the time you're going to get the long snapper untouched on the release. She's come straight through and has made a great open field tackle, because again, if that tackle was missed, Ollie's off to the races.
We need to once again make sure that we recognise all the volunteers today, and that's including our officials. Nathan Coates, thank you for your message. Shout out to all the officials working the game and all the officials on the chains, the ball persons, the clock operator, and everybody who helps out in the background to get these events up and running. Sometimes forget the amount of personnel it takes to get a game of American football not only underway, but maintaining it all the way through. And the preparation started last night here in Sixways. It's lovely to see the sun shining as well as we bring this first game of the European Championships to you. Ruth Matter on the carry-on first down, picking up 2. Again, that Swedish defence seems to be solidifying a little at the start of this second half.
That's it. They're showing slight signs every now and then of keeping that gap integrity, being able to penetrate and make plays. It just so happens that they don't do it consistently to get Great Britain off the field in 4 downs.
2nd and 8. Chris Stone then looking to see what he can achieve, and Matter once again, as soon as she gets that ball in a little bit of open space, she's ever so dangerous. And the result of that play is a Great Britain first down.
Yeah, you can see that split zone's working really well for Great Britain now. They've got that confidence of bringing the pulling lineman or the pulling tight end across, and if we have a little watch there, tight end comes across, is able to engulf the player who's trying to go low, and Matt has just been able to cut off it and get north really, really quickly, and it's easy yards. Change move, first down, Great Britain.
Shea Okalola with that block that released Matter that time. It's got to be a case of, we'll keep doing this until you find a way to stop us. Fisher
Let's watch that fade, short side.
Indeed. Saw that signal again. She's looking that way, looking again, and then throws into double coverage, and that's in and out of the hands of Bengtsson, number 1 for the Swedes. And that's a little bit of inexperience there, isn't it? Because you kind of telegraphed that all the way.
Yeah, and because you've got the tight end and 2 receivers to the field, you've got double coverage on this sideline because you've got the safety who's hanging over the top, got the corner there as well. So is that on? Probably not. So it's going to be a hard throw to make, and Ollie was struggling to get off the line and gain separation as well.
We spoke in the first half about how Fisher made a really mature play where she looked off the defenders before floating one out to the flats. That time she stared down Ollie Davis all the way, and the safety could see that and got into a good position. So here we go then. Next play up coming is 2nd down, and they go back to the ground with Matter.
Yeah, just a little bit of a wrong block there. The tight end, number 17, Sarah Okalola, she even acknowledged that she got wrong shouldered on the play, which meant that the defender could cut inside and then make the play instead of being the other side of the defender, so that Ruth could cut up and get north behind the blocks.
3rd and long then, as the Lionesses once again look to their wristbands to make sure they're all on the same page. See if Fisher goes to the air or uses the pocket rocket dynamo that is Ruth Matter. Yeah, saw that coming a mile off.
Yeah,
you
saw that pinch by the Swedish defensive line, and the right guard just got a little bit too antsy on it. Made a little step, and that's enough to draw the flag for the false start.
The referee just confirming that is the call. It'll march back Great Britain 5 yards.
Yeah, we're talking about the efforts of the behind-the-scenes staff. There's got to be some efforts given for the play calling staff on the sideline, who are doing a great job with their laminated sheets. It is frantic and frenzied to get that play in. Free play.
Yeah, it is a free play. Fisher recognises that and goes up top again, and this time it is intercepted. But as you mentioned, Andrew, that is a free play, so that will not count. But nevertheless, good concentration by Hedvig Polochi.
You know what, I'm saying that. I can't actually see a flag on the field.
No, I think you're right. I don't think there is. It looked up from our point of view like that would have been a free play.
Yeah, I would love to see the replay on that, because it looks like the middle, here we go, the middle linebacker is a foot in the neutral zone. The GB offense, to their credit, did exactly what they're supposed to. There's a free play there. She's just thrown it up, but we don't have a flag, so it's Sweden's ball.
So in that case, Hedvig Polochi will get her name on the stat sheet with that interception of Fisher. And the Swedes will get the football inside Great Britain territory.
Yeah, it's incredible. That, for all intents and purposes, that looked like a free play, and it should be offense's ball, but Sweden now have it.
The ball's on the ground again. They don't have it for long, because that's number 85 Zoe John on the spot there, managing to secure possession. And just like that, back with the Brits.
Yeah, it's almost, oh God, you can hear the excitement and the juice on the sideline. It's almost like that play never happened, and now Great Britain get the ball back.
Well, Sweden get a break, and then they give it straight back to the Lionesses. We mentioned about trying to eliminate mistakes, and I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously we're looking at the personnel on there, and you've still got the likes of Ollie Davies in there, Ruth Matter, obviously Angelina Fisher at quarterback. So you've Siobhan Walker there as well, as Matter gets the handoff, goes off tackle to the right-hand side and picks up close to a first down. So you've still got those veteran players in there, and you'd like to think that you'd get a little bit more stability and a bit more error-free football.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have a 45-player roster on an international game like this. So it's either 22 or 23 players the offense has. So there aren't that many players to bring in terms of the depth, but I think it's important to try and not push all of the backups into the game, because then you can lose that consistency. It's important to make sure you've got the right blend of experience and youth.
And there's a little bubble screen out there, this time from Fisher to Jessica Anderson. And Anderson makes the reception, but unfortunately goes backwards on the play. Good coverage by the Swedish DBs.
Yeah, that first block on the corner was made, but because the safety was unblocked, she wasn't able to get north on it quickly enough to be able to make any yards before the tackle was made.
So third and still just under a yard.
We've seen Great Britain in the first half do a hard counter here, so that could potentially be something that they're looking for as well.
Here we go then. So keep eyes peeled. There's that pinch in again by the defensive line.
They tried it.
Yeah, they did.
They did try it.
Is it going to be delay of game? Yep, referee unfortunately not with the mic on, but it is delay of game. So third and half a yard becomes 3rd and 6. Do you not think in that sort of situation, when you've got the likes of Green, who you know can just power through like she did, don't take away that risk of getting a penalty and just assert your dominance, keep the momentum building?
Yeah, I think when you've hit a hard count and a freeze earlier in the game, at the international level, you kind of expect people to be a lot more astute and know that that's going to be something that comes, and they did a good job not moving.
So a much more difficult proposition now than 3rd and long. And that ball is given up the middle again to Emily Irvin, who gets back just about to where the previous line of scrimmage was prior to the penalty. In fact, no, it's going to be a couple of yards short, so 4th and 3. But again, with a 33-0 scoreline, and with the Swedes not necessarily threatening a great deal on offense, the offense of the Lionesses stays out there. Irvin in the backfield. Siobhan Walker in the slot on this near side. Maybe see Walker come in motion on this one, and that jet sweep that's worked so well. Maybe just a straight handoff to Irvin again up the centre. No motion then. And it is Irvin once again, and she tries to pick her way through and picks up the first down.
This is the thing, this split zone as an interior run has been the bread and butter of Great Britain's offense in the second half. And whilst the tight end coming across didn't quite make the block, what you're seeing is the play side tackle and the play side guard are getting a double team on the defensive lineman, and they're taking them back to the linebacker. And that's why they're able to get so many gains off of this play.
So fresh set of downs for Great Britain then, as they look to hit the 40 mark on the afternoon. Game 1 of this IFAF European Championship from Sixways Stadium in Worcester. Matt Walker alongside Andrew Morgan in the booth this afternoon. And here comes Siobhan Walker. I was just one play too early with that jet sweep. Little pop pass again though, and Walker turns the corner, remains on her feet, drags the defender with her, but not before she's picked up another 14 yards and a Lionesses first down.
Yeah, we saw this working so well in that first half, and when you're able to run behind the likes of Yasmin Kazoo, you've got Jackie Duncan as well on that left-hand side, as well as the receivers. She's off to the races, and it's easy yards. That's a first down straight away.
Referees bring a halt to play, and I think they bring a halt to play because that is the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, compared to the first quarter that took approximately 4 hours to play, this third quarter has gone a lot quicker because we've seen a lot more running. There's been a lot less passing in this quarter, and as a result, it's gone a little bit quicker.
So as the teams change ends, let's have a look back on the YouTube. Who have we got also representing? Shout out there for all the Warriors ladies. Good to hear that those guys are in the house as well from the London Warriors. Who else have we got scrolling up? No, more for the Norwich Devils. Here watching the Manchester girls, Bo and Kenya from Studio Williams. Peterborough Royals. Shout out to Tanya Dales and the Peterborough Royals representing in the stands. So we've got a lot of people actually following on the stands as well here. Teesside Steelers, we mentioned them earlier on, so great to see so many people supporting on the stream. And interesting, lots of people thinking that the call we saw for that offside on the interception was a bit of a muff call there, but as it pertained to a couple of plays later, the mistake reversing itself almost instantly.
Yeah. You won't hear me saying that an official gets a call wrong, not on a live international stream.
Absolutely not. First down. Mata again trying to find a little bit of room, but bounced off 2 Swedes before she's eventually brought to the ground.
Yeah, you've got number 65, Louise Kalman, on the backside of that, being able to get some massive penetration in the middle of that offensive line. So it just got clogged up. The timing wasn't quite there, and they were able to make a big play and take Great Britain back a yard.
So as one touchdown scorer, Ruth Mata, leaves the field, she makes way for another in Steph Wyant, who takes her place alongside Angelina Fisher. Look to the sideline for final instructions. Check the wristbands and away we go. But that play clock will be close again. High snap again fielded, and it's Wyant who takes the ball up inside. Picks up 3, but no more.
Yeah, if the GB coaches up in the box who are logging the plays, they're going to need probably another column for the amount of split zones that are being run now. This seems to be the staple that they're just trying to grind and matriculate the ball down the field with in this fourth quarter.
What a great word that is.
I watched a little bit of NFL films. Who was that Kansas City Chiefs head coach? It was him. He started it.
From way back?
Oh, way back. Way back when they wore suits on the sideline.
And khakis. Third down then for the Lionesses. Fisher to the air. She pump fakes and she goes up top and she's got a receiver. The ball kind of hangs on her, and is that going to be a flag? No flags there, but again that ball underthrown. Intended receiver that time was Tanya Dales. Just mentioned her being supported, but Tanya Dales, unfortunately, that ball goes through her hands.
I think that might be number 20, Sophia Clare, actually. Yes, it is. And you can see as the ball was underthrown, she's trying to arch it back, trying to bring that over her shoulder, and it was so unfortunate because she had about 3 or 4 steps on her defender.
Indeed. Good spot there, Mr. Morgan. My error. As Fisher goes to the air again on 4th down. She's got time. Fires the ball in. It's a great catch by Samantha Reed. Brilliant hands catch out in front of her. It sounds a daft thing to say, but a lot of the time you see receivers using their arms and cradling the ball in, but in heavy traffic there is Samantha Reed, and she makes a great grab to pick up the first down.
Yeah, you see here, you've got the crosser underneath, the slot's able to clear it out on the play side, and then Samantha's just run a 3-step dig, probably maybe a 5-step. As the corner is cleared, it means that she's got the space to make the catch, and then as soon as she's got the ball and turns upfield, she's got a first down.
First down then again. The Lionesses can get another first down without scoring, and here comes Wyant. Nice little step inside. There's that split zone once again. Flag coming down this time though. Yeah, it looks like it will be a hold.
Yeah, on the play side there, number 23 for Sweden, Ellen Luke. She got upfield, got past the left tackle, and just didn't have the presence to kind of set herself, make the tackle there before the runner went past. But really good penetration there by the Swedish defender.
There's confirmation from the referee that the Lionesses will be marched backwards. Apologise for the fact that the ref hasn't turned that mic on when he's making the calls, but we'll try and bring you what those officials.
He's quite effervescent with his hand signals. So
he is.
We've got it all the way up here. We're sorted.
Great to see old and young in the stand as well down here at Worcester. Beautiful afternoon now, if a little chilly, but late spring afternoon, and play fake this time. And Fisher on the roll tries to look once again for Claire. It's hard to pass when you are rolling out to your right.
Yeah, something that I've seen on tape from Great Britain. They like to use the run action and then roll away from it and then try and run a pass. So here you had the counter action to the left, and then you had flood on the right-hand side with the receivers coming across. It was a bit overthrown, and it looks like there was a flag against Great Britain, potentially for a lineman downfield. But I think Sweden might look to decline this one.
It has been declined. Here's the call again. Great call, Mr. Morgan, ineligible player downfield, and that when a play takes that long to develop, you sometimes do see those linemen creep downfield a little bit too soon. But the flag was declined by the Swedes, which brings up 2nd and long for Great Britain. Just explain for those, what is a flood? What's the flood concept?
So with the flood, what you're looking at is to bring as many receivers over to one side as you can. So you'll have somebody running a short drag, somebody running maybe over the top of it at 10, 15 yards. And when the quarterback rolls out, they've got options to pick the shorter receiver or the receiver a bit further down the field. That's what we look at when we call a flood.
Good knowledge. Number 91 there on the tackle, Sarah Hilgers. Good penetration through the offensive line that time of the Lionesses, and once again knocks the back away from her intended target.
Yeah, and we talked about when the backups do come on, we've got a different set of receivers and running back. It's just slowing down a little bit for Great Britain. So it's important for these players to get their reps, to get their experience, but also to make sure that the production doesn't drop off.
Absolutely. Twins both sides this time then for Fisher. There's that pinch again from the D-line. Fisher going to the air. She got bags of time again, goes across the middle, and that's intercepted. And they're watching the eyes, but there is another flag down as well. Called a name so often today of Sarah Lidner, and she comes up with the football, but there is a flag, and you could see her just sitting back there, spying Fisher's eyes, and Fisher just didn't see her.
Yeah, I wonder if this is against Sweden, either somebody in the neutral zone or a hold from a DB. Oh, we've got the close shot, so it's going to be tough to see it. But the quickness of the flag and the fact that the play was allowed to go on, I wonder if this is against the Swedes.
Noticed a couple of times there, not wanting to be critical at all, because I think Fisher, for a first start, has done a fantastic job. But the ball seems to flutter a little bit when it comes out at the moment.
Yeah, I think she knows where she wants to go with the ball, and it's very prescriptive of... here we go. So we can see on this wide angle...
I didn't see a great deal there, no, either of us. There was that sense that one of the D linemen may have jumped again into the neutral zone, but again, it looks like it's against.
Yeah, maybe Great Britain, against Great Britain here.
Yeah. Sorry again, because our official hadn't got his mic on. Unfortunately, we didn't get the call, and we were watching the replay there for you. But that interception will stand then. 2nd pick of the afternoon for Fishers. Yeah,
and again, I think on the sideline, they need to really think about what it is that the defense are giving. It's been quite similar in terms of, is it a cover one front, or is it a two-man under front? So in terms of when we're calling these pass plays, what do we want the quarterback to be looking at, and where do we want it to be going with the ball? Because a couple of times the ball's been thrown into double coverage. We saw one nearly get picked. We saw this one definitely get picked.
First down then, here comes the run going laterally, but now manages to turn the corner and picks up 7 yards. Oh, and then a late flag for a push out of bounds. So Anna Hedström manages to pick up good yardage, and that will be an automatic first down for the personal foul at the end.
Well, that's it. She's run 42 yards to make 9 yards of total gain, but speed to the edge, ball's on that left hash. She's been able to get the edge on the defense and turn it upfield. And it's about putting the ball in the hands of playmakers. She's outrun the entire GB defense there. Could she have got the ball a little earlier and had some gains there?
Thank you to Darren Walker, that Kansas City head coach, Hank Stram.
Oh, of course he was. Of course he was.
Thanks, Darren. Lovely to be able to share the knowledge of the NFL fraternity, the American football fraternity, all around the country. Hank Stram, what a character he was back in the day. Here we go then. First down, Sweden, just about midfield. Looking to get into Great Britain half of the field, but they can't on that play.
Yep, Sweden having their own version of a split zone there. Tight end just misses her assignment, kicking out the end, and then the Great Britain defence are able to swarm on top of that.
That's number 10, Christina Iberenke. with the stop. Want to come into our half of the field, you're going to have to work a little harder than that. Second down, Sweden.
It's interesting because there is a trend going back from the World Championships in Finland that Sweden didn't actually score a point in any of their 3 games. So again, they're looking at a shutout here. It's going to be really important for them moving forward to see if they can try and get points on the board. And here, really slow getting the play call in, getting it communicated. So Sweden have called a timeout here just to consolidate.
So again, we mentioned a little bit earlier on about that flood concept. Again, a lot of people out, sorry, let's try that again, put my teeth back in. A lot of people out there are watching this game because they've got family members in there and might not necessarily know too much about American football as a game. You keep talking about the split offense that the GB Lionesses are running. Talk about that a little bit. So
what you can see, and Sweden have done the same, they've got an extra player just off the edge of the offensive tackle as a wing or potentially as a tight end. And what that player is doing is running straight across the line of scrimmage to take the defensive end on the other side. Because of that, it means the 2 offensive linemen can leave that player and they can go and double team the next person inside, so they can get a push on them and then get up to the linebacker. That's what we call the split zone.
Fantastic. Again, to the uninitiated, it is quite a complicated. I've talked to my friends about this sort of thing all the time. They can't understand the stop-start nature of the game, but it's so strategic and so planned out. And everybody has to be on the same page at the same time, as Ewald does well to evade the pressure. Now she has to try and do something herself, but that's not going to go anywhere as Iberakon. Let's try that again. You probably could be better. Iberonke, great work. Shuts the door once again.
Yeah, we've seen that play from Sweden a lot in the first quarter. Motion across the trips. They try and throw that ball in the flat. Quarterback didn't like it. Felt the pressure and rolled back into the middle, but the problem is there's no receivers there, there's a lot of defenders there, there's no blocking, and she's run straight into a sack.
Great coverage downfield, eliminating quarterbacks. Options. 3rd and long, found themselves in this situation so often, try the hard count, but nothing doing there. Trips to the right then. Now Ewald looks a little confused, still trying that hard count, ball handed off. Having to step backwards before she can go forwards, and then she does manage to turn and go north to south, does Hedström, but can only get back just more or less to the original line of scrimmage. And
you're looking there at the amount of running she's having to do to actually be able to turn north on it. That's because of the Sharks. That shiver of Sharks that we talked about in the first half. They're penetrating through the offensive line. The blocks aren't there, so she's going to have to run all the way around them and then try and get north. By that time, all the DBs and the linebackers can get across to them.
4th down upcoming then, and as our crowd here at Sixways continue to enjoy the action. And interestingly, 4th down, 33-0 down. Well, we may as well. Let's go for it. We've picked off Fisher twice. Let's go for it on 4th down. Ewald now rolls to her right, comes back trying to set up the screen. But unfortunately, that pass just a little too high. And actually, as Hedström had caught that ball, should have been heading towards her own goal line rather than upfield.
Yeah, it's probably better that she didn't catch that ball in hindsight. But again, we talked about how the Sweden head coach hasn't been in post very long. That's a very intricate, slow screen to try and set up the offensive line, get out all the timing, get the runner in the right place. And it's just, again, something that we see that didn't quite click. And it speaks to just how much they seem to be struggling with their continuity.
Come on, blimey, I've never seen Phoebe Schechter run quite that fast. Obviously realised that she wasn't needed on that first offensive play, and
I think she was trying to get a snap and then realised we weren't in Canada.
Ball handed off, though, to a real athlete, and that athlete is touchdown scorer Stephanie Wyant to Phoebe.
I mean, you can say that to her face after the game if you want to, because I'm not doing it.
If Phoebe listens to this back, I'll no doubt hear no end of grief off her, but...
Yeah, so we talked about different run plays. Great Britain now running the counter, where they're going to try and bring 2 offensive linemen. They were able to kick out the first player, but that second player wasn't able to wrap and get through to the second level, so the play wasn't able to get started. But we do have a change of quarterback now in this 4th quarter.
Yeah, Jackie Duncan as well, just hobbling to the sideline, being replaced by Lisa Thomas on the offensive line. And yes, new quarterback in for the Lionesses. Ball handed off once again, and that's a nice run, line breaking at the 30, down to the 20, the 25, all the way in. It's number 15 for her second score of the afternoon. Congratulations, Stephanie Wyant. You have arrived on the British scene.
And you talk about how the blocks are set up. We had that split zone, great kick out, and the reason this was able to happen is on that second level, you've got Jessica Anderson of the Hertfordshire Cheetahs one-on-one with her corner. She's managed to maintain her block all the way through that play, and Wyant's just had an easy run-in off that block. Fantastic work from the line, fantastic work by the receivers, putting it all together for the score.
Samantha Reid on to attempt the extra point. This will take the Lionesses over the 40 mark for the afternoon. Poor snap. Sydney Green does very well. Sydney Green does very well to get the ball there and in a position for Reid to be able to convert, which she does.
Yeah, holders of people too, and she's done a great job there.
I wouldn't like to say that to Sydney Green's face either, Andrew.
You always forget about the holder until something messes up, but you look at Tony Romo in that playoff game years ago, but she did a great job of a bobbled snap being able to place it. Unlike you, I didn't call out Phoebe Schechter's athleticism. So let's just have that said and on record.
Well, it's been lovely being able to commentate for as many years as I have, but maybe this is my finale in the booth if Phoebe gets her hands on me. So I'll enjoy the last part of this European Championship opener while I can. Sam Reid to kick off once again. 40-0 then in favour of the home Great Britain Lionesses. Kick is up, fielded at the 17-yard line. A little bit of room this time for Hedstrom.
Blockers in front.
Yeah, indeed. Hedstrom still on the feet, out past the 30 to the 33-yard line.
Nice work there by Georgia Teague, the linebacker for the Wembley Stallions, coming across from the other side of her kickoff coverage, being able to avoid the blockers, make a nice little play there, because that looked like it was setting up for a decent kick return, but great work there by Georgia to stop it before it even got started.
Yeah, apparently Nathan Coates is telling us that we're both brave.
We are a long way from players, personnel, and anybody else who can chase us right here.
And as soon as we're done here, we're straight to the car park and home.
Yeah, no one's going to watch this stream back and then come after us after, I don't think.
I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure. I might have to sleep with one eye open, but considering I can only see out of one eye, it might need to be the right one. Anyway, off we go, back to the field, first down. Oh, fumble on the play! But looks like that one's blown dead before it's even had chance to start, so a bit of a break from this for the Swedes there.
Yeah, I think you've, if you were going to sum up what the game looked like, a false start on top of a fumble, I think that epitomises where Sweden have been with the success of their offense today.
So I know there's a little bit to go now, Andrew, but, you know, somewhat really, a 40-0 scoreline looks like a dominating performance, but again, with all due respect to the Swedes, with Coach Jönsson only have been in post for 3 weeks and them having a young quarterback themselves and trying to almost rebuild, you know, and that's another broken play that Ewald is going to have to try and dance her way out of, and she's met head up. Would have been better there, maybe trying to slide down and get down before that contact, as Emily Mullen delivers a hammer blow. You know, does this scoreline flatter the Great Britain a little this afternoon? Again, with all due respect to the Swedes.
I think it's about, have you done what you were supposed to? Have you played to and above the level of competition that's put in front of you? And I would say that defensively, they haven't allowed Sweden to have a sniff. Offensively, they've been able to break big plays, score touchdowns, not have turnovers in the red zone, or indeed many turnovers outside of the interceptions that affected them. But I think tonight, especially with all of the coaches staying in Worcester, they're going to be getting into the film. This game will be forgotten about 5 or 10 minutes after that final whistle, because it's then going to be what we're going to do against Germany.
And that defensive line again, just giving no quarter at all. Another loss on the play. We're getting some real concerning comments on here about our health and well-being after the game. I think we know Phoebe and Sydney well enough, I think, to know them. They'll be fine. No problem.
I don't think what I said was that bad. I think you're in more trouble than I am, personally.
Cheers,
if
mate.
I was to have an opinion
Thanks
on the
very
matter.
much. Meant to be a team sport, this.
That's every man for himself when shots are being fired in the booth.
I'd have thought you'd have been my lead blocker on that one, but anyway, back to the field again. 3rd and a mile for Sweden, looking to get anything positive from this remaining few minutes in the 4th quarter. Slot receiver comes in motion. Ewald looking to go to the air, and she's got time this time, and now she's not got much time, and she's going to have to tuck the ball and run herself, and she scampers, and that's probably a wise decision based on what happened on the previous play. Number 11, Sydney Green.
This is it, and especially with that play in particular, are they able to hit the ball into the flats? No. They've seen it, they're able to get it covered. What's that next read in the play? And I just don't think they have that comfort in the offense to then have a look at the vertical parts of it and see whether they can put the ball in there.
So we get to this stage of a game as the Swedes punt again. Sydney Walker close to blocking at that one this time. It takes a nice bounce for the Swedes into Great Britain territory. Yeah, we get to this point in the game, Andrew, where we need to start thinking about MVPs.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's always really easy to talk about an offensive player because the stats are there, the splash plays are there. But the thing that we've also got to realise is when the stats are put together, this defence has not allowed a point. They have probably held Sweden to under 50 yards of rushing, and they've been able to turn the ball over. So we're going to have a little think about it over this over the next few minutes, because it's easy to say Steph Wyant, 2 touchdowns. Ruth Matter, touchdowns and big plays.
Well, that pop sweep again goes this time to Catherine Stanley. Nice pickup on 1st down again. And again, Lucas Vicky is the quarterback, getting some reps here. Around 3 minutes to go in this one. Second and 3 then for Vicky. Vicky hands off once again, and this time the running back manages to get back to the line of scrimmage, but no further.
Yeah, and going back to that MVP conversation, I think that whole collective of the Great Britain defence needs to come out of it with some kind of pride that, as a unit and collectively, they've done everything that they set out to achieve today. They've really stymied their offense. They've been able to put Great Britain in great field position for the majority of the game, because I don't remember a drive starting inside their own 30, maybe even inside their own 40, because of the work that the defense have done to really change that field position.
Indeed. Vicky to the air, first pass completed. That's a beautiful little ball out there, hitting number 44, Kenya Peters, for a 1st down.
Yeah, nice little in cut there by Kenya. Knew where the sticks were, made sure her route was past the sticks so that if she did catch it and was tackled immediately, then it was going to be a 1st down.
So Vicky Lucas then completes her first attempt on the afternoon.
Who would your MVP for the game be, Mel?
Well,
what are you
again,
thinking?
You know, you've got to. I completely agree with you in terms of defensively. Oh, bad snap there for Lucas to field, and I think she might. Oh, she's done well to get back on top of that one, because it looked like number 44, Elise Lefdeval, may well have got on there, but Lucas did ever so well to snag that. I say it's hard. Like you say, defensively they've been brilliant, but I think they've been brilliant as a unit, haven't they? All 11 on the park there have done their job, fulfilled their role, and as a unit, we've not called one player's name time and time again, so I completely understand where you're coming from. But again, you then look back to the offensive side of the ball and you look at who has been producing. I've got an idea who I'll go with, but you know, there's still a little bit of time left as Lucas hands off once again. A nice little stutter step.
Great run there by Emily Irvine.
Beautifully done.
Reading the blocks, being able to take it to the second level. getting the yards back that were lost on that fumble, helping set the offense up to keep moving.
And that right there is the ball game. So I think 2 touchdowns in that second half, 27 points first half, 14 points second half. Will Chris Stone and Great Britain be happy with the way that's rounded out?
I think it's a great response to how things finished in terms of where they got to in the World Championships. Coming into this game as the number 2 seed in the world, they wanted to put together a performance that is a statement, and I think they stamped their mark on the game today here at Worcester and being able to walk out as comfortable victors.
And will their next opponents, Germany, look at that performance and go, oh, blimey, we've got some work to do here?
I think so. I think they're going to look at it and say, well, that's an offense that have got weapons, they've got playmakers, they've got a system and an offensive scheme that works, they've got a defensive scheme and individual players who collectively are making it very, very hard to move the ball. And it's going to be a good game to see how the Germans match up to Great Britain when they play them in May.
So let's just recap the scoring then in this one. The first quarter scoring opened with Siobhan Walker on a 17-yard scamper as a result of a jet sweep. In possession after that, though, the Lionesses fumbled for the first time, but that didn't bear any fruits for Sweden. And once the Lionesses got the ball back, it was Fisher, quarterback Angelina Fisher, taking it in from 4 yards out to make the score 14-0. Into the second quarter then, and Ruth Matter got on the board, taking a run 32 yards to pay dirt. And a field goal opportunity was missed by Reed before Sydney Green, on a quarterback sneak from a yard out, rounded out the scoring in the first half. That made the score 27-0 at halftime. Into the third quarter then, we saw the scoring opened by Steph Wyant, 9 yards around the outside. And then into the fourth quarter, Wyant was at it again. 50-yard scamper all the way to pay dirt, which was the final action and the final score of the afternoon, which gives us that 40-0 scoreline. So always lovely scenes at the end of a game like this. The respect and the camaraderie of all of the players. You see the hugs there on a beautiful afternoon here in Worcester. I'm going to bring you those touchdowns shortly so we can just recap how the afternoon went, but a dominant performance by the Lionesses. Some new names on the scene. Angelina Fisher with some fantastic experience, which will stand her in good stead going forwards. Steph Wyant as well, breaking onto the scene. 2 touchdown performance on the day. Close to 100 yards on the ground. Ollie Davies, instrumental in the return game, breaking some big returns as well. And as Andrew mentioned earlier on, that defense dominant in all aspects, shutting down the run and the pass. In what has been a very successful outing on their first trip into the European Championships this year. And now we await the presentation of the MVP. I think you guys at home will all be hard pushed to disagree with this one this afternoon. I'm sure some people will, but there could be a case made for a number of players. It's a shame sometimes that there has to be one most valuable player in a game which is so reliant on the full coordination of a team. Big round of applause there for the fans that have come out to support both Sweden and Great Britain, and it has been a fantastic atmosphere all afternoon here at Sixways. The sun has shone. And now Coach Stone will turn his attention to Germany. Big game coming up later in the year. But it's great to see great British success back on home soil after their recent achievement at the World Championships. So let's have a look again then at the scores from this afternoon. Siobhan Walker opened things up with that jet sweep. Ruth Matter out in front there blocking for her, but she goes untouched for the opening score of the afternoon in the first quarter. And that was largely going to set the tone for the afternoon. The majority of the touchdowns today came untouched. And Angelina Fisher again rolled like she was going to pass out to the right hand side, and then took the ball and managed to cross the goal line before she was flattened, but that would not take the smile off her face. Into the second quarter then, and old stalwart Ruth Matter with that split zone concept again. 32 yards to pay dirt, untouched, accelerating away from the Swedish defenders. And then we see the power of Sydney Green and that Philadelphia-esque QB sneak, which rounded out the scoring at the end of the first half. And into the third quarter, and Steph Wyant tried to look for room up the middle. No avenue there, so she bounced out to the outside and takes it in from 9 yards out for her opening score of the afternoon. And after a couple of turnovers, Great Britain got the ball back again into the fourth quarter. And it was Steph Wyant once again who was tasked with carrying the load for Great Britain. Sure, we'll see that final Steph Wyant touchdown shortly. Here it is. Again, beautiful gap, made two people miss, then bounced out to the right-hand side. And again, Steph on a 50-yard gallop to pay dirt to round out the scoring for the Great Britain Lionesses this afternoon. And indeed, our MVP for the afternoon is number 15 of the Great Britain Lions, Stephanie Wyant, with her 2-touchdown performance. So that's all from the commentary booth here this afternoon. We'll hand you down to Andrew, who's hot-footed it down to the sideline for our post-match section.
Okay, welcome back down to pitch side. We're just waiting for both of the teams to wrap up. We're going to be talking to Coach Stone, head coach and offensive coordinator, Coach Hill, defensive coordinator, and also our MVP of the game, Stephanie Wyant. So as you can see over there, Great Britain are just finishing up with their huddle. Obviously, massive excitement. It's 40-0 as the final score. A dominant performance on both sides of the ball, and then they can capitalise onto that into the game against the Germans next month. So yeah, just waiting for the players and the coaches to come across, and then we can start to interview them as well. Yes, we go Steph, Chris Wayne. Hello. Okay, we're down here with the game MVP, Stephanie Wise. So first off, Steph, congratulations. How do you feel the game went?
Thank you, great. I mean, I only just found out just now, so that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I came to the World Championships in Finland last year and didn't get so many reps on offense, so today was my first time repping on offense. And it was just amazing, to be honest. Like, the girls did me proud. They absolutely smashed it on the blocking, made my life very easy, made me look very good. So I have to thank my O-line and obviously all my coaches for all their help.
That's awesome. And just talk us through one of your touchdowns. When you see that hole open up and you can see the blocking downfield, how does that feel for you when you're running?
I think I kind of black out. Yeah, I think Coach Coops just said to us, express yourself on the pitch, and I didn't really know what he meant until it happened, and then it just kind of my subconscious brain.
Well, that's it, because on that first touchdown down here, it looked like you were trying to find the hole in the middle, and then thought, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'll just bounce it outside and then head for where the green is. Was that what happened?
Yeah, I think so. Something subconsciously just made sense. So yeah, I guess all the training that we've put in paid off in the end.
That's awesome. And then just talking about the huddle at the end there, what's the vibe of the team now, thinking about that next game next month?
So I think the thing we're thinking the most is we're just getting started. So obviously we've got girls coming out. It's their rookie game today. We've got Ruby, who's 17, and she plays centre today for the first time. We've got loads of young people on the sideline helping us. And it's just like such an exciting time.
Well, the fans are going crazy for you, so I won't hold you anymore. Go and take the fans, and well done for the game. Thank you very much. Okay, we're back down here with Coach Wayne Hill, the defensive coordinator for Great Britain. So first off, Coach, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think it was a great game. We had objectives to start fast and play physical and just do our job. And we've got a lot of athletes on that defensive unit, and we just wanted to showcase that today, and really think we did that.
Yeah, we were talking up in the booth about the fact that it looked like Sweden might be a little bit disjointed. They didn't quite have all their pieces together. How did you make sure that the team didn't take that for granted and were just doing their job every time?
Yeah, I mean, our focus for the last month has been all about us, and that's our complete focus. And it's not about anyone else. If we control our tempo, we can do what we're supposed to do, then we're going to be good. So it's about our focus and it's about us.
And so we've got the game MVP as someone who didn't get very many reps in Finland during the Worlds. Is there anybody you want to highlight as someone you thought really performed well on defence today, who's been making that progress for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many that you can mention on defence. Like, everyone played and everyone contributed today. I think our D tackle, our nose tackle there, big boy, Vicky Ware, is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, kind of situation where, at certain times, she's tackling the guard and the running back at times, just really reflecting that, moving back that line of scrimmage. And then I think the linebacking core were just really great. Beth Pilkington has come in, worked really hard over the practices, deserved the start today and done really well. But we got so much more in the tank, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, so this is a great platform for you now to take this on to Germany. What are your thoughts going to be moving forward, getting into the tape there?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Germany in Worlds. They've got a new coaching staff. They've just elected their 75 players. I think they've got a training camp this weekend. So it's going to be a bit of an unknown for us, but they're going to scout us. So that's a nice challenge for us. So we're going to see that. They're going to be really prepared for us, and we're going to have to make sure that we respond to that.
Well, awesome job. You got a shutout first game back after the World, so well done there, Coach.
Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you. Thanks for everyone watching.
So final interview of the day, we're here with head coach Chris Stone. Coach, you want to talk to us about how you feel the day went and how the game went overall?
Yeah, it's a great day. I mean, I think some of the things that, I try to talk to the girls about beforehand is obviously football is important. We want to win. But for me, football and family are always synonymous. So if nothing else, take away with what's happening on the field, but just looking around what's behind us, things like that. That's more important than anything we've done on the field today.
Yeah, the support's been phenomenal. It's probably been a good idea to put the support behind the Swedes so that you could get a little bit of that enthusiasm and really vet them. What do you think, in terms of the offense, what do you think worked really well for you in terms of coming out and starting the game?
I mean, we've got a great offensive line, and that's where football starts. So anytime you've got big bodies that are able to move like that, it just makes so many things possible for us. So, as an offensive coordinator, I probably got a little pass happy at the end of the first half, and in the second half kind of came back, stuck to our roots. But when you're able to run the football, it decimates teams. And we talked about before the game, they didn't have their full roster out, so we wanted to try to take advantage of that with the people we had up front.
You talked also at the start of the game about the fact that City Green was going back to linebacker. You had a new quarterback in. How do you feel that transition went over the course of the game?
I mean, we put up 40 points, so clearly things are going well. And the reality is, we talked about this with the offense, even when we had Sydney out of Worlds. We have so many. I basically say I've got multiple Ferraris in the garage. Like, I don't have to rely on any one individual, and that's sort of the way we look at things on offense, whether it's our running backs, receivers, quarterbacks. We don't want any one player to have to carry the load. So what you saw today, I think we actually had 6 different people score touchdowns, and that's exactly the kind of thing you should expect from us.
So moving forward, Germany next month, what are the thoughts and what are you thinking about in terms of preparing for that game and taking them on?
I mean, as a head coach, I always want more. So the first thing we're going to do is go look back at this film, because there's certainly opportunities. Despite the scoreline, we could have been better on all 3 phases of the ball. We have new players, so for us it's an opportunity to get used to playing with the 25-second clock, coming on and off the field, because we have to remember, even though the game is moving to 9s this year, this is still an experience not a lot of girls get, the 11-a-side. So I think for us it's probably more looking at some of the operational bits as opposed to maybe some of the game plan stuff.
That's awesome. Thanks very much, Coach, and congratulations.
Awesome.
And good luck for the next game.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Great insights.
Yeah, really good. It's just so nice to see, looking around here, the support that the players had. We saw it on the feed in the chat, but coming down here now, it's a family community. There's so much positivity for the coaches, the players, and it's such a positive experience moving forward to Germany.
So from Coach Stone's perspective then, a good day at the office?
Yeah, a really good day. I think that we saw in the first half how the offense were able to move the ball at will. They were able to overcome some procedural things and some errors in that kind of perspective, but you look at the scoreboard, it's clinical on both sides. It's a really good platform for that next game.
Absolutely. So it's been a really great afternoon here, and we're going to bring you one more interview just very shortly. We're just waiting for Great Britain men's head coach Jason Scott. Come here, Mr. Scott. How are you? Nice to see you. That's fine. So, first of all, a couple of things for you. Thanks for joining us. I thought you were going to bring your family with you.
Was that?
Thought you were bringing your family
here.
Yeah, I thought you'd bring them over.
My stepdaughter's just started playing football. She's scored 2 touchdowns in the first ever tournament. So, really proud of the women. Really proud of how the game's grown in the UK.
Sure.
And again, it just showed with the Worlds and Euros and now this. The game is really growing from strength to strength, and there's so many more people accessing the sport. It's really, really good to see. And packed house like this, it's a great advert for football in the UK.
So, Andrew just spoke to Coach Stone about the performance.
Hello,
about the performance this afternoon.
Yep.
From where you were sitting, what are the positives that you can take, that the women can take?
I mean, loads of positives. I mean, you don't put 40 points up on an international opposition by looking and trying to struggle to find the positives. Really good. I think the variety of plays they called on offense, they didn't just stay one-dimensional. They threw the ball around. They tried new things. Loads of different personnel, young players coming through. I believe it was a quarterback's first international game, so lots of real positives to play. Again, it all starts up front. The offense, the defensive line were great, and it just gets better and better. And the amount of young talent on display is phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do in Germany and hopefully rolling into the Euros and further success.
Sure. So let's turn away from the women a little bit and talk about what you're currently focusing on, which is obviously in August, the next time the men's GB team come together or actually compete. How are things looking from your perspective?
Yeah, we're really excited. August the 5th at Butts Park Arena in Coventry. I think we're into practice 6 now. We've got another one at the end of the month, and we're really, really motivated. We've got a really talented squad of 108 players. We'll be reducing it down to 75 at the end of June, and then really focusing on a 50 or so that we'll be taking to Coventry. Lots of talent, again, just like the women, lots of young talent. I think the average age of our squad is about 22, 23 at the moment. So we're not relying on the old guard. We are trying to bring people through. The amount of 19, 20, 21-year-olds on our roster is ridiculous. And they're talented, and they're by merit. They're not just there to bring the average age down. They're there because they are quality young players. And this summer season is going to be really, really good. I'm excited to go around and watch a lot of games this year.
We've had the NFL Academy game obviously up in Loughborough today as well.
Absolutely.
So that's really promising from
the
that
Academy's
perspective.
doing phenomenal, and it's really, really good to see. The quality of the university games getting better and better, and I do believe that we are at a a watershed moment for British American football. I think a win in Coventry against a blue blood like France would really kind of set the nation alight and make everyone sit up and take notice of British American football again.
Well, again, Andrew said earlier, just before you joined us, the support here this afternoon has been phenomenal. And actually, we were commentating from the far side, but the atmosphere it created just from here was it was a joy to see.
It's awesome, yeah, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure the sport is accessible, make sure that all the fans and families and friends come along, but a lot of casual sports as well.
Yeah.
And I think by having the games in a central place like Worcester or Coventry, it's really, really good. And we want to get people out, bums on seats, making a big noise for the great athletes and the great sport that we've got in the UK.
Well, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
Morgan's didn't let you get in a word in edgeways. But always a pleasure to see you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Great to hear from Jason, the Great Britain head coach and the University of Nottingham head coach, who just edged out in the final of the university season this year. Now we can bring you Lindsay Llewellyn. Brilliant. Lindsay is our competition coordinator for Super 11s. Just step a little bit closer. Competition coordinator for Super 11s, is that correct?
It is correct.
Right, just hold that up a little time. So tell us a little bit about what Super 11s is then, and why it's deemed that right now is the right time for this to sort of take flight.
So Super 11s will be the return of women's development football 11v11 and allowing our athletes and our coaches to perform at a higher level. Currently our domestic product is 7v7,
yes,
and this year will be the first time 9v9. But to progress to 11v11, to get our players ready to play internationally and get that next wave of talent in, we need to provide some opportunities for everybody to grow and learn and come together and do that. So that's what it's.
So what's the format? How is it sort of panning out as we move forward then? What's the plan?
So the plan is that it will be done as regional franchises, so geographically to the best of our ability. The clubs, the NWFL clubs will come together, create a franchise. They'll come together, train together under the one regional banner or club, and then they'll have North versus Central, South, round robin for bragging rights. But the key thing is that everybody gets an opportunity to develop, to play 11v11 football, get coaches in, not just from the women's game. It's really important that we get coaches in from all over. You know, that peer-to-peer learning is vital for the growth of our game here in the UK. Gets everybody involved in any which way they're able to give back to the sport, and hopefully it allows bigger and better things to happen in the future.
Time frame for this then? When can we expect to see this all sort of unfolding?
Just last week we published the vision, and the time frame is we will open up registration for players in September, with the actual practice days happening through October, and the games from in November pushing into December.
Excellent.
So looking for anybody who wants to get involved in any way, drop me an email, super11s@britishAmericanFootball.org, and we'll have a chat. We'll get as many people involved as we can.
Brilliant. And I assume people can find links to that on the BAFA website.
It's on the BAFA
all
website,
on there.
yep.
Brilliant.
It's doing the rounds on socials in various ways. If you don't know, ask. I'll probably see it and I'll comment back.
Well, as we just mentioned to Jason Scott, who was just here, and he mentioned about this being a watershed moment for American football, just generally with the women's game, the men's game, the university side, the junior element, and it just needs these sorts of volunteers and these sort of programs to, like you say, just take it to that next level that it's been so desperate for over the last few years.
Oh, for sure. I mean, post-COVID, I think we've just seen things tip. You know, we're really starting to get the momentum back on all levels. As you say, university, youth, senior men, women's programmes. This is our 10th year as well for women's British American football. So this is a really pivotal year for the sport in general, and we just need to take it to the next level. I mean, look at what our athletes have achieved today.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sky is the limit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing how the Super 11 progresses in the autumn.
Me too.
All right, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Really exciting times,
It is.
generally.
It is.
And like you said earlier, just standing here, the buzz is it's palpable.
It is. And the thing is, the success of the women's game has really gone from strength to strength. It's interesting to think that 10 years ago, it started as regional diamond leagues, as they called it. Then that transitioned into the league. And the women's game, the women's international game, has really gone from strength to strength. And to be able to see all of this going on at the grassroots level, we've talked a number of times in the box about the fact that Great Britain are ranked 2 in the world. It's these kinds of things that are going to help impact and progress the sport even further.
And before we even started this afternoon, yourself, me and Joe Walker were talking about the under-19 game, and and how that may be looking to try and progress in its development. I was involved way back with it, and it's always been a sort of level it's been hard to sustain at 11-a-side. 9-a-side seems to be working, but again, like with the Super 11s for the women, these youngsters do need that experience of 11-a-side football.
Yeah, and I think the model of regional camps, being able to pull players, pull coaches, bring coaches in that might not want to commit to a team full-time, but be able to drop in on these kinds of things, I think it's a model that's really going to work, because it gives that introduction to players of the 11-man game on the full field with the complexity of the game, and then everything can then just filter back into the national programs, and those coaches can take these players, and instead of being able to having to teach them the basics, they can work at a higher level and progress it from there.
Absolutely. Realistically, I've been watching American football since the 80s. NFL, obviously, and for whatever reason in this country, it's, even like this, not to put us down, but in terms of a national game and it being streamed like we're doing, it's never really had the exposure, it's never really had it's never taken off, has it? You think of British basketball and you think of other sports that, are Sky Sports and various different media outlets have got on TV rather than just being streamed. Is this the moment that we've been waiting for as American football fans?
Well, as a transition, I don't think I'm the person to ask that question to. I think Pete Ackley,
perfect
the chief executive of BAFA, it's a perfect person to ask that to. Good afternoon.
How are you, Pete? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Well, before we get on to what we were just discussing there, what's your take on this afternoon?
Well, on the field and off the field, I'm delighted. I mean, the crowd have been sensational, the venue's been great, the team have been awesome, and it's just the whole thing's just everything we wanted to set out about our girls and women's programme all sort of came to fruition this evening.
Andrew and I were just talking then. I've been watching American football and involved in American football since the early 80s, and it's always seemed in this country like it's a sport that for whatever reason has never got the traction. And you think about like British basketball and British ice hockey that's got the sort of airtime on the various, the big media channels. Jason Scott was saying a minute ago that he feels that this might be a watershed moment in British American football when you're thinking about the women's game, the men's national side, the Super 11s that's being, brought to fruition, the under-19s, the university side of things. Does that sit well with you? Are you feeling similar?
Well, it does. I mean, 3 years ago I was brought in to lead an organisation to do exactly those things. COVID put a horrible hole in the whole thing. So in essence, this is 12 months into a 10, 15-year plan. And reality where we are is now, I'd say we're ahead of where we thought we would be. I think more than anything, we've said all the time is all we want to do is professionalise the game on and off the field and inspire more people to play and play a part. That's certainly inspiring. What we saw out there is going to inspire a lot more people to play and play a part. The next thing is that professionalism on and off the field, real focus on our participation levels and working with key stakeholders, whether it be the NFL, whether it be our university programs, but equally around our people. That's kind of the key factors, our people, our coaches, our referees, our volunteers, everything that puts the infrastructure, and you can see it here, it's in absolute spade loads. These people will come along, they put the right products on the field, and I think that's going to be the key now. We've just come off the back of a university finals, which everybody wanted to watch. Phenomenal. We've seen an all-star game, and it's momentum.
NFL Academy this afternoon in
the
Loughborough.
NFL Academy playing today. Yeah. We're going to now. We've got some great conversations happening with the NFL currently. We've had IFAF here today, and we're talking about where this game's going to go, and that's just contact. When you then start overlaying flag in the Olympics in 28, the decision's probably going to be the autumn. We've got to be ready, because when that happens, that's blue touch paper. The game's going to go huge. So it's always been my plan to come in and really grow the game and look where we're going. But looking 10 years ahead, and I know people always say, well, why are you looking so far ahead? Because that's when we will be British basketball, and we'll be on mainstream TV, and we'll be in bigger stadiums, and we'll be having this of the kids who have a ball in their hand at 8, 9 years old now will be playing this game then. So that's the long-term plan.
And I think part of that as well is trying to bring all of the international programs to the same level. So obviously the women's very high up in that ranking order. The juniors who went to Italy, we saw the drop off in the experience levels. Obviously the seniors are going to be playing in August. So how do you feel you've got one program up here. How do you feel you can bring the other two to a commensurate level?
Yeah, and I think that is about. There's a little bit about prioritisation, and we've made a clear priority because 95% of our game is male, and that's participation based. So we have to, as a game, as a sport, how do we make our sport more inclusive? We've said straight from the outset here, we've got to be progressive in everything we do. So that progression is how do we equate, how do we raise. Under-19s don't play 11-a-side football unless they play an IFAF tournament. So we have to do something about that. Now there's choices we have to make then. Do we continue playing club football and they only play 5s or 7s because they can play close to where they live? Or do we actually go, right, if we're only going to do this, we've got to raise a standard, we've got to play 11-a-side football in regions, and that means changing culturally everything we do. Culture change takes some time, so therefore that progression is crucial. And then we've got to be responsive to the needs of the players. That response to, well, how do they want to play? How do they want to engage? So we've got to get that balance. And right now we've got a balance of there's costs of living, there's costs rising. Yeah. This is not inexpensive to put on for a sport that doesn't currently receive any public funding. Yeah. So that's got to be, and that factor will start to equate. So
absolutely. And we had Joe Walker on earlier. Obviously, the competition aspect of it is now paid, and that's going to be an important part of moving the sport forward and being able to put people in positions to drive it away from the volunteer aspect that it has been in the past.
Yeah, and I make no apology. Our volunteer passionate workforce is the biggest asset we have, and we'll maintain that and we'll continue to that. But if we're going to really get focused and really drive this sport forward to where it needs to be, we're going to have to invest in professional workforce, in professional approach, and basically people with time and ability to get really focused on doing the right things and doing things right and creating the enjoyment that this has been today. It's been a bit awesome.
But in a nutshell, the future's bright.
The future's very, very bright. And I mean, people always say to me, you've been in sport for 30 years and you're sort of semi-retired, so why American football?
This is why.
This is why, because this has got so much opportunity. And as I say to everybody, there's opportunities all over the field, to borrow a phrase, and they're everywhere.
The lovely thing is as well, obviously having Andrew on board this afternoon as well, you've got people here that are supporting family members that don't know American football.
Exactly.
But obviously when you've got sort of Andrew and people explaining the game, and now you're getting a new audience. They might not play, because but they've got a new audience there, and there's a new almost resource there that can again be part of the future.
Yeah, we just got to show what a great sport this is, and I think I called it the best kept secret in British sport. It's not a secret anymore.
No.
And we'll make sure it's not a secret anymore, and we'll shout about this, and we'll shout about a lot more things. And as you say, the future's really bright.
Absolutely. Well, thank you ever so much for your time, and
for joining
us.
Thanks, guys. Really
appreciate supporting everything.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Wish you all the best. So everybody who needs to be involved in American football pretty much here this afternoon.
Absolutely. And being able to hear about the Elite 11, the fact that the junior game will probably go along that regional aspect as well, it just shows what the sport can become. And ultimately, the Olympics in 28 potentially having flag football in there will be massive, because the flag football game is huge in this country, and again, not as public as other sports, and it's almost another secret that we have, but there is going to be such a groundswell of people who can input into it that's really going to help us if we're going to put a bid in for a team to go to Los Angeles.
Well, it has been an absolute joy to be here this afternoon and not only witness the continuing development of the British Women's American Football Programme, but also meeting so many people with a passion to grow the game here, and listening to the crowd and their expectations and their love for what's about to happen under the guidance of Peak Ackley and so many others in the British game. Andrew, it's been a pleasure this afternoon. Thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you for joining us in this first outing of the IFAF European Championships for 2023-2024, where the Great Britain Lions have come out victorious by a score of 40-0 over Team Sweden. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. We will be back for more coverage of this fantastic game very soon. So for all the guys and girls at Onside Productions, thank you for joining us. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you on an American football pitch somewhere soon. Good night.